good evening. Sorry about that. We had a special session meeting we had to do, so took a few extra minutes. We'll start the July 20th meeting with the, for the invocation, we're going to do a couple minutes of silent prayer for the Surfside down in South Florida. So please stand, and then we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Wilson, then roll call. Let's have silent prayers. Thank you. Pledge allegiance now, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commissioner Brunson?
Here.
Commissioner Wilson?
Here?
Mayor Johnson?
Here.
Commissioner Firstner?
Here.
Commissioner Oliver?
Here.
All right. We have a two items. One's the county tax person's here. Where's that? No, you said the county?
Yes.
Is that Lysandra Wormack?
It's Landra.
Huh?
Landra from the Orange County Tax Collector.
Yeah.
Yes. Good evening, Mayor and the Commissioners. It's been a long time since I've seen you all. Haven't been here since the COVID epidemic actually started, but just wanted to say greetings on behalf of the Orange County Tax Collector, Scott Randolph, and wanted to let you all know that since the COVID epidemic, for you all who have not been in our offices, we went to a appointment-only system, which actually has been extremely effective for our customers. They actually like it. And just to let you all know, if you all need a same-day appointment, that we have a system that was actually put in place that if there's a cancellation that day, it automatically repopulates itself onto our system. So even for last-minute appointments or anything that you all need, and of course, if you all need anything outside of that, definitely feel free to reach out to me. And I'll give you my email address. It's lwormack@octaxcol.com. Feel free to reach out to me with any other issues that you all have. And
We appreciate it. That place is great.
thank you so much.
It's super.
And we love Ocoee, and we hope we're doing a good job for you all.
You are. You are.
Thank you.
Thank
Is
you.
this some
Appreciate
information we can add to our website, maybe? Just basic information to be able to reach out to you guys for the basic information that you just gave us. Is
Absolutely.
that something we might
We
be
can
able to-
definitely, and you know, everybody, you all know how to reach me, so if you all have constituents with issues or anything else, trust me, I think my phone number is on a billboard somewhere, so everybody else has it. So please make sure to reach out with anything that you all have for your constituents or for yourselves. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next will be, we have a presentation by our Economic Development, Angela Della Portilla.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Angel de la Portilla. I wanted to provide you all of a legislative update from Orange County based on an ordinance that was recently adopted by the Orange County Commission. It is Orange County ordinance banning the retail sale of dogs, cats, and rabbits. On the 22nd of June, the Orange County Commission, by a vote of 4-3, passed an ordinance, a countywide ordinance, banning the retail sale of dogs, cats, and rabbits. The ordinance prohibits the opening of any new pet store and allows existing pet stores to continue operating until June 22nd of 2022. All provisions of the ordinance shall be applicable throughout the entire, through unincorporated and incorporated Orange County. There are currently 8 retail pet stores in Orange County, which will be impacted by this ordinance. There is one in Ocoee, There's one in Apopka, 3 in the city of Orlando, and 3 in unincorporated Orange. The Ocoee store is Choose a Puppy, located at 11167 West Colonial Drive, Ocoee, Florida 34761. The store opened in 2018 and is owned and operated by Crystal and Nicholas Grastara. So this is a home rule matter, and the Orange County Charter has a section, it's section 704, that deals with a conflict of county ordinances with municipal ordinances. And there's only, I read the charter, I've also had conversations with City Attorney Cookson. There's 3 areas in the county, in the Orange County Charter, where they have regulatory authority over the municipalities. One area deals with adult entertainment, another area deals with gambling, and then another one deals with environmental issues and pollution. So, and the specific language of the ordinance says, except as provided in this section, no county ordinance shall be effective within a municipality if the municipality maintains an ordinance covering the same subject matter, activity, or conduct as the county ordinance. Which leads us to some options for the commission to consider. Number 1, no action at all, and then the Orange County ordinance will go into effect, and the Ocoee store will be forced to close on June 22nd, 2022. Option number 2 is adopt a new city ordinance allowing the retail sale of dogs, cats, and rabbits. In other words, allowing these stores to continue to operate, or to operate, new stores to open. The third option is adopt a new city ordinance banning new stores with a grandfather clause allowing existing stores to continue to operate. And number 4 is adopt a new city ordinance with additional regulations on new and or existing stores. That is my presentation, Mayor. I'm available for any questions, as is Attorney Cookson, Mr. City Manager Frank, and or Assistant City Manager Chadridge are also available. And also, if there's any specific questions related to the pet store industry, the owners of the store are in the audience, and if need be, if you recognize the mayor, they could answer any questions. Thank you.
Does anybody on the commission have any questions?
I just would like, excuse me, Angel, could you please flip back one PowerPoint? You read them all, but I would like to read them myself. Okay.
All right, any commissioners have any questions?
I'd like to make a motion.
Well, first what we need to do is, I think what we need to do is, I'll let the lawyer tell you, but I think we need to get a consensus to do it, and then
Okay.
we can come up with an ordinance, is that right?
Yeah, whatever the commission decides, we would come back with an ordinance. If the commission decided to do something, then we would, based on the city commission direction, come back with an ordinance. So that could be a vote, that could be consensus.
We can do a vote if you want to.
Yeah.
All right, if you want to make a motion.
In the interest of home rule, I believe that we should choose option number 3, adopt a new city ordinance banning new stores with the grandfather clause to allow existing stores to operate.
All right, that's a motion for that. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
You second it, Commissioner
Yep.
Alder? All right, seconded by Commissioner Alder. All right, anybody else have any?
Well, I have some comments.
Okay.
Now, as I understand, option, is that my microphone? As I understand, option 3 is the one that's on the table now. But that precludes any new stores being opened. Is that what we want to do?
Did you say?
Yes, 3.
3, yes, sir. You said
Okay.
3.
Okay, I just want to be clear, because now
Okay.
it's saying,
Right.
okay, no,
right.
everyone is be grandfathered in
Right.
who's
No.
current, but no
Right.
new ones.
He said 3.
Okay.
All right, anybody else?
I do have one question. With the adoption of you said 3, right? With the adoption of 3, does that preclude them from expanding their operation in the city if, at a later time? So let's say 5 years down the road, they want to expand their operation and they want to stay in the city. Would that ordinance prevent them from opening a new store?
I guess that would depend on what we put in the ordinance. If you're wanting to, if you wanted to allow them to separate store, we would need to put that in the ordinance. Otherwise, I think it would prohibit opening up another store. But again,
I would also, could we amend the motion if that is the case, that would allow them to do so down the road if they want to expand their business in the city?
Maybe they want to make it larger, make it
Or
more.
maybe move to another location in the city, or just make it larger, or
All right.
go another location.
Or
Yeah.
move from that shopping center to a different location.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
Yes.
I have to have a motion for amendment to the motion.
I'd like to make a motion to amend the original motion
All
to
right.
add the provisions that we just
All right,
spoke
do I-
about.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that one.
Well,
All right.
I'm not clear, on
All right, hold
the
on. Mr.
amendment.
Wilson,
But I'm not clear on,
second. All right,
I'm not clear on the amendment.
all right.
What's the
So
amendment?
the amendment would be to amend the grandfather provision to allow the existing store that is grandfathered in to expand or either enlarge the existing space or do another store, a second store in the city.
And this is my concern. This is why I'm slow to vote on this, is because should they decide, the owners of this store we're talking about decide to sell, what will that new owner be able to take ownership of that store within the city limits?
That's a good question. Or to open.
That's why that's why I'm looking at 4 as opposed to 3. That's my question.
Commissioner, I think we would draft it in a way that that store would
Has to be
continue
approved.
regardless of who the owner was. That location and that use would apply. And then if that, I guess if that brand decided to expand under the revised motion, we would allow a second store or third store expansion of that existing brand. So the ownership, I don't think matters. I think it would be for that existing location and an expansion of that brand. But again, it's up to you guys.
Okay, yes, that's fine.
But then
All right.
I have a problem with, I'm thinking they'd make the facility
I can't hear
larger.
you, Commissioner.
I'm sorry. I was thinking they'd make their facility larger. Would it be a good thing to ask the owners to tell us a little bit about what they do so that we are very
Well-
familiar with what actually encompasses their business?
All right.
Compared to why Orange County is banning these stores and why they are,
I thought that's what you were going to do, Angel, but
A
you
little
didn't,
more.
you didn't really get into that, but.
giving us a little more detail as to, Orange County is banning these. Why is this store, in particular, not doing what, they're following kind of a different path than what folks were thinking in Orange County?
Are you looking to hear from the owners?
All right,
The owners.
all right, I want Angel to step here too, because he's been dealing with that. I'm going to open it to the public for public comment. Can the owner come up, please, and introduce yourself and let them ask you.
Tell us, I'd like to
And I
know,
need you to fill a form out when you get through in the back. Yes, sir.
I'd like to know more about what your business does, why you are different than what why Orange County doesn't want pet stores? What are you doing that's different, so the community's aware?
Introduce yourself.
Yeah, please.
So I'm Crystal. I am the owner of Choose a Puppy, and this is Nick. This is my husband. He runs the day-to-day operations of the store. So Orange County proposed the ban in conjunction with working with HSUS, which is the Humane Society of the United States. HSUS has gone state to state throughout the country proposing bans to eliminate pet stores. Their spoken agenda is to get rid of bad breeders. However, what they're doing is they're eliminating the most heavily regulated source in the country for puppies. So as an example, in Florida, we have a statute that we have to follow for consumer protection, which is 828.29. That's the Florida State Lemon Law for people who purchase an animal from a pet store. And in that, the client has 3 options. They can return a puppy for a full refund, they can return a puppy for a replacement puppy, or they can elect to keep the puppy, treat the puppy, and receive vet bill reimbursement up to the purchase price. Now, that law is for 2 weeks on anything contagious and 1 year on anything birth or genetic related. So it is a very strong law, as opposed to going assigned to a backyard or hobbyist breeder where they're breeding off their kitchen floor, so to speak. You'll find them at a Craigslist. There are no regulations for those type of people selling animals. So a lot of what the industry as a whole has faced is the animal rights propaganda of pet stores are bad and they sell sick puppies. However, it wouldn't behoove us to sell a sick animal knowingly because we're liable up to the purchase price for vet bill reimbursement, which means if an animal does get sick, we're out the cost of the animal, we're out the shipping, the breeder fee, employee fees, overhead. So to intentionally sell a sick animal, one, is immoral, but two, it wouldn't behoove the business practice and we would be out of business doing so. So with our store in particular, we vet our breeders. We, before COVID hit, would go on breeder tours. We have a long line of breeders that we have known personally for years. My father-in-law has been in the industry for 45 years, and we grabbed his connection of breeders in opening our own store. So this is a family-run business. We take what we do, we take our clients, we take our employees, and we're family. You know, we always tell our clients if they need anything, you call us.
To answer your question more specifically, we're a puppy-first business. We only focus on puppies. We're not into fish. We don't do gerbils. Our entire focus is on puppies. We do things such as lifetime health warranties, such as lifetime hip dysplasia, congenital hereditary defects, most major canine diseases. Unfortunately, this county ban actually made us stop doing that because we don't know the foreseeable future if we're able to offer replacement puppies if their current puppy is diagnosed with that. All of the puppies are up to date with shots, dewormings, but what we do, and as far as my knowledge goes, we're the only one in the country, we actually pay for the completion of the puppies series all the way up to 16 weeks. That includes rabies, 2 more booster shots, that includes a round of deworming at 2 different participating vets. We have a breeder biography system along with a whole other things that we offer to the clients. I could go on for hours about this, but that is kind of what separates us from everyone else. We were unfortunately lumped into one bad player that kind of got the ball rolling, which really initiated this, and unfortunately we were kind of thrown into the middle of it. So if you have any more specific questions, I'll be happy to answer.
I don't know who else went. I went out and took a look. I looked at it, and honest to God, I was kind of leery to go in. It's just like smelling, you know, it's like going in. The place was like a hospital. I mean, it was that clean. I mean, it was unbelievable. And
It's my slight OCD.
yeah.
Just slight.
So, yeah, it was kind of shocked me. It was really, really up to date and caring for what they're doing there. And
The health and well-being of the puppies have to come first, both on the business end.
And on the government end, to piggyback on what Commissioner Firstman said, this is something in our city that is home rule. The cities have home rule, which we keep getting, they keep wanting to do against the home rule. And the home rule part is what we need to look at. This is our city with our businesses, and you're a good business that's been there. So that's why I was wanting to back it. So,
Thank you.
so anything else? Anybody else?
No, I have to agree with the mayor. I visited as well, and it was very clean. The operation was very easy to understand the way you guys presented it. I like the idea of the breeder database that you showed me, from the transport, from the breeder to the transport, how you track them across the country, all the way into your store, and how you separate your animals as far as, or your puppies, as far as the cross-contamination component of it was very impressive. So I think it was a very great operation. It was a good experience. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you.
I appreciate you coming up here. I want to close the public hearing now and bring it back to the dais. We can vote on it. We need to vote on the amendment first. I need a vote for the amendment. All in favor of the amendment? Do you need to read it again?
The amendment was to permit the existing owner, as part of the grandfather provision, to expand its operation and potentially open up additional stores in Ocoee.
All right, that's the motion. That's the vote.
Okay, are we voting? I'm sorry.
Motion carries unanimously. Now let's vote on the original motion.
No, what's
All right.
So the original motion is to, for city staff to draft an ordinance to come back to the city commission. That would really be option 3 in the PowerPoint presentation.
All right, now, All in favor, vote.
Is that in contrast to what we just voted on?
What?
Is that contradictory to what we just voted on?
No.
Plus the amendment.
Okay, all right. Just want to make sure.
Motion carries unanimously. There you go. Thank you very much. Thanks, Angel. Appreciate it.
The only other thing, Mr. Cookson will bring the ordinance back, and I
Right.
believe that there'll be 2 hearings, first reading and a second reading sometime in September, right?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right. I got one other business tonight that I was out sick at the end of the last meeting, and so there was some confusion of what happened with a citizen here. And I'm going to let him come up real quick because he needs to take his little daughter home quick. So we're going to let him come up and finish up his talk.
And I'm going to apologize because that happened on my watch, and I do apologize for.
So
us
you got
not
3
addressing that.
minutes.
Okay, I can do that. So, I was asked to create a presentation, so I did so. Essentially, the city of Ocoee has a police board that I am the chairman of. We're trying to put on a 9/11 20th anniversary event. We were requesting some money from the city for a stage and also a waiver of the fee for the Bill Breeze Park for Saturday, 9/11/2021 this year. So basically, I just put this together. Essentially, the event's going to be in the morning only. The park will be free after noon. Loose agenda is on the slide, so you can see it there. And I can pull this back through, but I'm going to go to the next slide. And essentially, I did call a couple places. I actually found some stages under $1,000, so I actually revised my proposal to up to $1,000 request from the city. If it's lower, obviously the money will go back to you. If it's higher, the board can probably cover a slight difference. Taxes, I don't know if we have to pay taxes. I don't think we do.
No.
But if we don't, then it should be less, actually, a few bucks less. And also complimentary use of the park, probably around 7:30 in the morning. So, that's it.
What's the date of that? Is it
Saturday, 9/11/21, sorry.
Okay.
So we're gonna do it on that day. It actually occurs on a Saturday. So we're working with the police department, the fire department, and our board to put everything together, so.
Okay. Anybody want to make that motion?
I'll be happy to make the motion for $1,000, assuming we have a contingency, and for the use of the Bill Breeze Park. But I will have just one question. I know that's police department, so they're going to have police coverage.
Yes.
But what about things such as porta potties? I'd love to talk about that.
Yeah,
Porta
we did-
potties and trash. What's the plan as for this? It's a city function.
Yes.
So
So
why
we
don't
would
you-
hopefully be able to work with Parks and Recreation or whoever
That-
provides those, I would think, but.
well, they don't have the porta johns, so I think maybe if you just raise it to 1,500, then you cover the porta johns too.
Well, should we go 2,000 because they have to have one for
And then, of course, if it's
disability
less,
and-
it comes back.
Yeah.
So I'm going to change make my motion for $2,000 and for use of the Bill Breeze Park.
And there is a local company that'll probably give you a better deal here in town for potties.
Sure.
All right, we got a motion to donate $2,000 to the Police Advisory Board for the 9/11 function. Do I hear a second?
And to waive the fees on Bill Breeze Park.
Yeah, and waive the fees on Bill Breeze Park. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Oh, I like you.
All right, motion made and seconded. Any more discussion?
No, I just want to say that I'm glad we addressed this, because it kind of put him in a 45-day window to make this happen, so I'm glad we came back and addressed this immediately, so, thank you.
All right, let's vote. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, guys.
There you go.
Appreciate it. Thank you, everyone.
Get a hold of, I think you have to get a hold of Sherry
Or Mark.
or who? Or Mark, yeah,
Mark, because
about
if
getting
they
a
have
check
to,
too.
yeah.
Okay, I'll
All
work
right.
with Rosie too. Okay.
All right,
All right, thank you.
thank you.
Appreciate it.
Was the park available, I hope?
As of last we checked, it was, but I.
Double check it.
Yeah, double check that.
All right. Staff report.
No emergency purchases in the last month, Mayor, so I'm nothing to report tonight.
All right. Public comments. We went ahead and let him talk, so, and I've let the other one, so. I've got one here for Andrea Ray. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and get that out of the way. What's NOP? You can explain that to me. I don't, go ahead and introduce yourself and then.
Nonprofit organization.
Do what now?
Nonprofit organization, NOP.
NOP, okay. All right.
There's a microphone.
should I stand over here? Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay, NOP stands for Nonprofit Organization. And, hello, Commission and.
Go ahead.
My name is Andrea Ray, and I work at Citrus Elementary, but I run a nonprofit.
Are you going to make a presentation?
Yes, sir.
All right, you got 3 minutes. Turn the clock on.
Is it on? That on?
What you're seeing are some of the things that we were able to do through Citrus Elementary. We've been there, well, I've been there for 14 years as a teacher, and we host a club there.
Speak into the mic. That's
And
hard to hear.
also facilitate summer camp. And our goal is to explore ideas for future, for having a permanent location rather than having to lease space at Citrus Elementary. So it's just, everything's very preliminary and exploratory.
All right, so what, in reality, what you're asking for is a space that the city would have to let you use?
And I've actually already explored what you have available through the city, Parks and Recreation, and that's not an option because we have a lot of items that would need to be stored, and what they have available is where we could lease, but we'd have to break down at the end. So we're actually exploring if there's something where we could be permanently, because this summer to rent the space at Citrus, it costs us over $4,000.
Yeah, I don't know of any place we have right now, but, I mean, we've got so many different recreation and different things in the city. I know, I had a lady the other day call me wanting to do the autistic for seniors or older, so looking for a spot too. So I don't know, do any commissioners know any buildings that could be used? I don't know of any, you know. It's, have you tried any of the, have you tried Winter Garden, City of Winter Garden?
It's extremely expensive, and we prefer to stay in the Ocoee area.
Right.
We draw, because we are at Citrus, we draw from Citrus and also people on the west side, the west side of Orlando, and we do not want to go to Pine Hills, and Winter Garden is extremely expensive to be
Yeah.
in.
Well, I think what we need to do, Rob, can we check with the recreation purpose if they have any place to be leased, and what the price is?
Mayor, one of the first things I thought of was possibly Vignetti, but we're going to be bringing something forward to
Yeah.
you in the budget as far as maybe
Yeah.
moving the gym from the beach
Yeah.
center over to Vignetti, so that's going to take that one out of the rotation. So
Yeah.
I really can't think of anything where we have the space off the top of my head.
And we're out of space, really, as far as in
And
buildings.
we're not in a rush. I mean, we are set for this because the school year is starting, but the limitation with working through the school is that you're working with the school calendar, so when they're closed, the program is also shut down.
So the school charges you $4,000 a year?
No, we did 4 weeks of camp. You're seeing, like, for instance, that picture, we went to the Kennedy Space Center.
Right.
And so to lease Citrus, one classroom space for 7 hours per day for 4 weeks, it was $4,200. And so, and this fall, I can do club at Citrus on Mondays, which I plan to do because I work there. But I would like to we're planning on leasing space on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and it's going to cost us probably between $25 and $50 per hour. And we're locked into the OCPS calendar.
Have you asked any of the churches, local churches?
No, we have not explored
I
that.
think that would be a way to go at it too, is
How about the women's
Well-
club?
the Woman's Club would, I think they,
Do they do it?
yeah.
Well,
I don't- Well, you gotta ask them.
You can't store things there.
Huh?
You know, we're renting, the Women's Club is renting the facility.
Yeah, I know.
But it's not a storage facility. It's
No.
not.
Eventually, we would like to have our own site for
Yeah.
purchase, but we are set to make this work for this coming school year. But the limitations, as I said, is the cost that we're leasing instead of being able to purchase eventually, and also the fact that we are locked into the schedule, and we would like to be able to do more field trips and not just service Citrus Elementary students, but also students within the city of Ocoee area and in West Orlando.
Mayor, perhaps she can sit down with Mark and see, and she could sit down with Mark,
Yeah.
and he could probably get a better idea of their needs and the times, and
I think you,
probably figure out if
Yeah.
we can help them or not.
I think what you need to do is go see our recreation department. They set up their buildings, lease them out, rent them out, what we have, and see what we could come up with there. I know it's kind of tough because, like I said, everybody's starting to look for places that now that they can get out, they're starting to look for places kind of to utilize them. So we're pretty much going to use our other building for some new programs because we're having to move out of the other one to get space for our kids at the rec building. So I think what you need to do is see the recreation department, talk to the recreation director with his staff and see if there's any way possible or anything we have that could be leased at a reasonable price.
Right, I explored that already, and I was sent an email, and everything was, because when you do a STEM program, which has a large makerspace, you have quite a lot of
know.
materials. And so we would need a place where we could leave and
See,
not.
that's the problem, I'm saying.
Yes, that is the biggest
Yeah.
problem.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, Mayor, perhaps, let me add to the discussion. We have a school that was actually, I think it's closed now. It was a charter school that we had on Silver Star. It was
Yeah.
Silver Star and Clark. There was a charter school, has like 2 or 3 story building there that is, as far as I know, it's still sitting there right now.
Right.
Perhaps you can contact the owner and see if he maybe were able to work with you on some space in that building.
We explored that because it's literally across the street from where our school is, Citrus, because it's on Silver Star, correct?
That's correct.
Silver Star and Clark, and Citrus is also on Silver Star and Clark. We're at 87 North Clark Road. And we explored that, but I could not find the owner for the kids' community college space. So if we could have some guidance and direction as to how to do that, I would very much welcome
Perhaps
exploring that.
we can connect you with the staff. We will probably have a contact for the owner of that space.
Okay, that would be great.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Lee, make sure, I got your card, I'll give it to the staff, your paperwork, and they can get a hold of you. Thank you. All right, consent agenda.
I have one item I just have to ask. I have one item I'd like to ask the city manager, I'm sorry.
You want to ask
City
a
attorney.
question about it, or you want to pull it?
Just want, no, I don't want to pull it, just want to
Which
ask.
one?
It's item 4, which is the healthcare district, the contract. I am a trustee on the healthcare district. Am I allowed to vote on that, or do I have to remove myself from that?
You want to talk about it?
I just want,
You're a trustee.
I'm a trustee on the West
Can't
Orange
vote.
Healthcare District. I had to recuse myself from voting on it at there, so should I recuse myself from
should.
voting here? Okay, we need to remove
Announce
item,
it and pull the form out.
we'll need to pull number 4 so that I can recuse myself, because I am a member of it, and I'll fill out Form 8B for that one.
All right, so you're abstaining from voting on item number 4. Okay.
Yeah.
I
All right.
have actually one item, I do have a question. I really don't want to pull it. I just got a question before we pull it. Item number 7 for our workshop hearing and our workshops, budget workshops and workshop hearing. We have August 12th and August 18th. One is on a Wednesday, one on a Thursday. And then on the actual hearings themselves, they're all on a Wednesday. So everything's on Wednesday except for the 12th, which is on a Thursday. Is that something that we did by design, or?
No, the way we did that, Commissioner, we checked pretty much everyone's schedule for, like, myself, the finance director, and the mayor, and we just came up with, and we tried to avoid having 2 within 1 week. So those were the days where there was a week, typically for one of the budget hearings, if you have something, some changes, some recalculations, it's good to have a week between the meetings, so. That's the method behind our madness.
I know typically in the past, they're always on the same day, but.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we try to shoot for a Wednesday, but I think that one was impossible to do.
That is the evening before the Florida League of Cities conference, which starts on the 13th.
The 13th.
13th.
Yeah.
That's the night, that's,
Yeah.
Maybe we can have a fast meeting that night.
no, it's okay, I'm not gonna go till Friday morning. It's okay,
And I also I would like to pull item 11.
All right, item 11 is what you're pulling?
Yes.
All right, let's vote on everything except item 11, and it goes all the way down through 17, right?
No,
And 4.
Also four.
Item 4.
Well, she pulled, yeah, well, we're voting on 4, but
We didn't pull it. She just.
No,
she didn't pull it.
well, I think you have to pull it so that I
Yeah,
can,
let's pull it.
We'll
So
pull
I
it,
can
and then,
recuse
all right, we'll
myself.
vote on it separate, because you can't vote on it. All right, let's vote on everything except 4 and 11.
what's
All, motion for that, please.
oh, okay. Whatever.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda, pulling 4 and 11.
All right, motion made by Commissioner Forster. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Oliver. All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. All right, item 4. We need a motion for that with Commissioner Wilson abstaining. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve item 4.
Motion made by Commissioner Forster. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Commissioner Brinson. Any more comments? Not, let's vote. Motion carries with Commissioner Wilson abstaining. Item number 11.
Item number 11 is the capital budget reallocation. It actually identifies some items that we have saved money on through, I guess, the current fiscal year, and we want to reallocate some funds there. But it doesn't tell me how much we're going to reallocate. I can also go to page 929 in our agenda. I can go all the way down there. I found it, but just looking at it on the surface in the consent agenda, it does not tell me how much we're trying to reallocate. So I just want to know if we can just maybe reword it just to show how much we're trying to reallocate. And I know on item page 929, it gives you a listing of what how much money we've saved versus how much money we're reallocating, which is almost the same. Kind of balances out, but I just wonder if we can just put it, the amount.
Deputy Chief Smothers can explain what they were attempting to do there.
But on item 12, the one right below it, it actually it also tells you exactly how much we are allocating toward the police department. I just wanted to know if we can do the same, or at least be uniform and regimented with item 11.
Yeah, the amount that we're saving or have saved is $16,315, and we're wanting to reallocate $15,800 of it into to be able to use for other items.
Yeah, that's fine. I have no problem with the reallocation. I just
Yeah,
I would
some of
like
the
to see it
items.
I would like to see it on this consent agenda as in how much we're trying to
Yeah, I got you.
reallocate.
Yeah.
That's all.
All right, make a motion.
So I make a motion that we accept item 11.
All right, motion made by Commissioner Oliver for item 11. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Brinson. Any more comments? Not, let's vote. Motion carries unanimously. All right. All right, public hearing. Number 18, public hearing to award RFQ 21007 exclusive franchise for residential construction and demolition debris removal. Manager Tobin.
Good evening, Mayor and City Commission. I'm Joyce Tolbert, Procurement Manager. This is the public hearing for the award of the exclusive franchise for residential construction and demolition debris removal. For background, we solicited an RFQ. We received 2 responses. Those responses were evaluated by an evaluation committee, and they recommend awarding to both respondents. Waste Pro of Florida and Hubbard Construction, doing business as Mid-Florida Materials.
Okay. All right, I'm on, you got to read something? All right, can open it to the public. All right, I'm going to open to the public hearing. Anybody in the public have any comments on item 18 on the public hearing? All right, close the public hearing, move it back to the dais. Anybody on the commissioners have any comments? Not, I need a motion.
Make motion to approve?
Motion made by Commissioner Wilson, or here's a second.
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Oliver. Any more comments? If not, let's vote. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item 19, variance request for Christian Brothers Automotive, McGuire Road, north of West Colonial Drive. Development Service Director, Rumer.
Thank you, Mayor. This is an item, request is for a variance to a small-scale site plan for Christian Brothers Automotive. The property is located on the north of West Colonial Drive and east of McGuire, east side of McGuire. The property is more specifically 11920 West Colonial Drive. It's in the 3-lot West Colonial Ocoee commercial development where the Sable Hotel used to be. And that was redeveloped into 3 commercial lots. We have the Popeyes in one lot. We have the Strip Center, which has the Qdoba and the Orlando Health, and the Smoothie King. And this is the parcel to the rear. You can see it's the vacant parcel to the rear. This would be Lot 1, Lot 2, Lot 3, and there's a drainage tract, an internal drive aisle, and parking. We have the Old Time Pottery Center on the west side and the Fairfield Inn on the north. Commercially zoned. We have a small-scale site plan for an 8-bay automotive repair center, Christian Brothers Automotive brand. The parcel orients with the building facing towards the south, which would be where the retail center is. There's associated parking, and as part of the 3-lot commercial subdivision, there was a request by the applicant to arbitrarily put an increased setback, building setback on the north, larger than the 10-foot. This is the rendering of the units, of the bays. The rear of the building will not have any active uses. There's an addition to the side, which is part of the variance to the east, to the landscape buffer, and to the property line, to the drainage tract, which will house all the stuff that would commonly be located to the rear. This is something they worked out with the hotel. So what is the variance request before this commission tonight? It is to reduce the current landscape buffer on the east side from 10 foot to 1 foot. It's to reduce required building setback from 20 feet to 1 foot on the east property line, and reduce the building setback from 35 feet, which was just an arbitrary, as part of this subdivision, not the land development code, from 35 feet to 20 foot. And I'll show you how that will facilitate. Again, this is the tract on the east side is a drainage tract. So the two waivers to the buffer in the lot setback is to a property line adjacent to a drainage tract, not an exterior user, no other lot that's buildable. And then for the north property line, it's a 20-foot buffer building setback in lieu of 35-foot, again, to accommodate the building facilitating this view from the hotel. The variance requirements in our code, there's 4 criteria, which calls for special circumstances. In effect, this lot is there, it's existing, it's a legal lot. There are really no lot size special circumstances. This variance is to facilitate the automotive center as shown. The Planning and Zoning Commission did recommend approval of the variance, subject to the site providing a pedestrian access to the south from the building, and making sure everything is kept indoors. We have an Article 614 of our Land Development Code requires that already, but that was an extra condition they put on that. And I'll entertain any questions. I have not seen the applicant yet. Oh, there he is.
I'm gonna open it up for the vote.
And the engineer is here, Mayor.
All right. I'm gonna open it up for the public. Does the owner or the engineer have any comments?
Good evening. Ben Ellis with SNME, 1615 Edgewater Drive, Orlando, Florida. engineer for the project. I just want to thank Mr. Rumor and the staff for their support. We are in agreement with the recommendation for approval of conditions and certainly here to answer any questions that you have.
Commissioners, any questions? I would just ask, while we're waiting on one of them, did anybody at the hotel have any qualms or questions about this?
We have, in our pre-application meeting, when they, this is a work in progress early on. They came back after we had a meeting and said they worked this elevation with comments from the hotel. The hotel has received the 300-foot notice. We haven't had any phone calls or email correspondence with them. And we will, obviously, if you can see, there's no active use behind here. Everything's facing State Road 50.
Well, will there be extra landscaping?
Yes, in that 20-foot area will be a landscape buffer. Yeah,
Okay.
that will soften all that there, yes.
So you're expanding, is this a part of an expansion?
No, this will be a build-out of the last of the 3 lots within this commercial subdivision.
Okay. Yeah, I
It'll
would have
go-
the same question the mayor had, the business behind it.
Yes.
Have we gotten any comments or any concerns from them?
Which would be the Fairfield Inn?
Yes.
Yeah, no.
You're talking about the other ones, right?
There's
No,
the only,
the Fairfield.
on the east is the pond. Oops. On the east side, adjacent to it, is a pond. On the north side would be the Fairfield Inn Hotel. Yeah, we do
The
not have,
Fairfield.
and they are providing the cross-access. If you've been by there, you've seen people stuck when they try to make this trip across. That cross-access is being provided to the north and south. So no comments from the hotel.
Yeah, Director Rumor, you and I have communicated on this issue already. But I do have a question and a concern with that 20-foot buffer behind the building. And so is it that we're going to stipulate that no parking of vehicles and storage back there? And is it going to be a landscaping, a natural buffer?
Yes.
Is it going to be a driveway? What exactly will it be?
Good question. First, I want to point out that the way this lot facilitates, the front is McGuire, the rear is adjacent to the pond, and these would be 2 side setbacks. So really, if this was a, you name it, sit-down restaurant that we wanted, or a user, it would only need to have 10 feet. The area it is a curved landscape buffer for the hotel that goes all the way down to the driveway. The intent of this 20-foot, you'll see the curb continues. It'll be curbed, non-accessible. It'll be the landscape buffer between it, which would have a hedge around the building, its trees, and understory.
Okay, that's all I had.
Anybody else? Anybody else in the public have any questions? If not, I'm going to close the public hearing and bring it back to the dais. I need a motion. You need to read anything? No. All right, I need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the variance request as per staff recommendations.
Three separate variance requests.
Three separate.
Yeah, you don't have to vote on them, but there are 3 variances.
All right, do I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Wilson. Any more comments? No more comments? Let's vote. Turn on the box. All right, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. We got 2 more. We did them all. We got 1. They go from 19 to. We did them all.
These are surprises.
All right. Item 19, variance request for Christian Brothers Automotive, McGuire Road, North to West Colonial Drive.
We're on 20.
Huh?
We're on 20.
20, I'm sorry. I thought it was 20. Variance request for Hussein Property, 613 Lyman Street, Planter Hines.
Good evening, Mayor and Commission. Tonight we have a variance for the Hassan property located at 613 Lyman Street. The property is located off of Lyman in Lee Road, which is a paper road. It's located right off of North Lakeshore 2, so this is North Lakeshore Drive coming along here, and then this is East Silver Star Road. So the location of Lyman, it is zoned currently as R1, which is a single-family dwelling, and the future land use is low-density residential. Currently, the lot is comprised of 6 25-foot wide previous potted lots. So in total, it has 150 square feet of frontages, and the applicant is proposing to split that 150 square feet into 3 separate lots instead of 2, because currently it's 2. This here is just a chart of our R1 zoning showing you the minimal requirement for the R1 zoning. And the applicant is justified the need for this variance. He's actually requesting 3 variants to build 3 homes on 5,000 square foot lots. This is just an aerial view of the property showing you where it's located at. And then this is just the zoning showing that it's the R1 zoning area over here. Currently, this is just a showing you what the existing property looks like. And here is just showing what the applicant is proposing to do. He wants to have 3 lots, 50 foot each. And so basically the variance that he's asking for are 3 in total. One would be to reduce the minimal lot width from 70 feet, which is our minimal, to 50 feet. And then he's also asking for a lot size reduction from 7,000 square feet, which is our minimal, to 5,000 square feet. And the last one would be to reduce the setback on this paper road, because right now this is a paper road, but it's Lee Road. It's an unapproved right-of-way. So in the front here, it has to be a 25-foot setback, and then also here. So he's asking that when he's created these 3 lots, he want to reduce this setback here facing the unapproved right-of-way from 25 feet to 9.3 feet. When staff reviewed everything, we found that, and this is just a more detail of how the lots would look. And then this here just shows you the current existence of the road. This here is the front. And then this is a rendering of how he proposed those homes would look. They'll be 2 stories. This here is just a similar design that he did in Orlando, showing you how the lot would fit on those 50-foot lots. And as you know, with the variance, they have to meet 4 criteria. So as staff, when looking at these 4 criteria, the applicant doesn't meet those 4 criteria to qualify for a hardship. So as staff, we can't recommend the variance, the 3 variance requests as the applicant requested. But when it went to P&Z, there was some condition that they recommended that if the applicant was able to allow on the side facing Lee Road, which is a paper road, if they would allow for the elevation of the home. So as you can see here, this elevation, that elevation would be on the Lyman Street and also on Lee Road. So it'll be more like an extended porch facing Lyman Road as well as Lee Road, which is the paper road. And then also if they're putting a fence up, it would have to be at least 4 feet and 50% see-through, 50% of peg. So those are the conditions that P&Z say if we do support this variance, these are the conditions that we would want to put with the variance. But if not, then they would recommend denial of the variance. And if you have any question regarding that, I can answer those questions as well.
What's the width of that house?
The width of this, we actually have the applicant here. And
I'll open the public hearing.
yeah.
Can you give me the width and depth of that house?
Hello, my name is Mohammed Hassan, and to answer your question, Mayor, the width is 38.4 feet, and the length is about 48.
And that is the house you're going to build?
That is the house. It's about 1,900 square foot.
How much?
1,900, just under 2,000. 3-bed or 4-bed, depends. We'll have a flex room on the downstairs, and just make it more accommodating to families and improving on that block.
Okay, anybody else have any questions?
What is this, and I don't know if you can answer this, what is the city's position on these 3 lots as far as the number of structures that can be built on these 3 lots?
So currently, if you go to our R1 zoning, which is here, because the area is zoned as R1.
You speak in the mic.
So typically at R1, it would allow for him to build 2 lots. If we follow our zoning, which is a minimum lot width of 70 feet, he could get 2 75-foot lots. So the variance is action to allow him to put a third home on 50 wide lots instead of the 75, which is our minimum of 70. And there are some lots over there that they was previously part of Orange County, and Orange County do allow 50-foot wide lots, but since they're in the city of Ocoee, we don't have a lot size for 50. So he's asking to be similar in that area where those are some 50-foot wide lot to be similar to that.
But these homes are new. These homes are new homes where the homes that are existing now are older homes, correct?
Yes, the Development Services Director, Mike Rimmer, I just wanted to add, what's difficult a little bit with this request is, and we do have some 50-foot, that house was built in 2005, and I looked up that permit from our old permit system, and I don't see a variance or waiver or any information on how that permit, it was just the building permit. We have a new home over here off of Lakewood, which is on a 75-foot wide lot. What's interesting about this setup is we have this paper right-of-way. It's a short segment. It presently contains a sidewalk and a water line. I don't expect us to maybe build a road there. It's a short segment. How's it going to alleviate traffic? But we don't know but because it's a public right-of-way, we could put a lift station, we could put other items there. And because there is the ability with 6 25-foot antiquated platted lots to combine enough to get 275 and build 2 homes, that's what we recommend. You can get 2 homes, you'll exceed zoning. The variance is to go to 50-foot wide lot. And the second feature of this is, and we're approving 45s and 50s in new subdivisions. They have master stormwater ponds. We know how the retention is going to be handled. We don't have that luxury here to see if all of these go to 50s, how that stormwater is going to be contained and retained. Long answer, we like 2 houses, is what the code says. We got to go by what code says. There's no extraordinary circumstances.
Okay, so
but he is proposing to build a nice product.
Right, and that's why when I looked at the elevation, it did look very nice, but it sounds like the properties that were over there were annexed into the city at 50 lots, and we kind of inherited them.
Some were, they're older, some were
so that
annexed
it wasn't
in.
something we approved recently.
Nothing recent for 50.
Thank you.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes, I mean, I've read what your recommendations are, and it gets a little confusing, okay?
We do that for your benefit to kind of make it different. If you're going to approve it, it doesn't, we suggest you're going to kind of package it this way.
I understand that,
Okay.
yes. I could see that. It's just that it gets a little confusing. The concern I have, it looks like a nice product. It looks like, again, it would be a benefit to the city. The concern I have is when you bring up the stormwater, because we don't want to create problems for the future. Putting 3 houses there, if that's going to create a problem in the future that we're going to have to deal with, or a future city commission is going to have to deal with regarding runoff, drainage, stormwater, we're creating the problem, we're approving a potential problem. Am I right?
We would be approving a situation where all we're guided by is the minimum floor elevation, finished floor elevation above the crown of Lyle Street. There is an open ditch to the side. So we know that there's a low water table. We know that there's some issues there, but we're not reviewing a stormwater plan with this. So.
And when when the folks, I'm sorry.
in the traditional zoning, it kind of assumes some of that as well, that there might not be drainage, that's why you have the width and you have the more open space.
And then it becomes a drainage issue. The residents come back to us and want us to correct it. Then it becomes our problem because we approved it, correct?
Can't argue with that.
Okay, thank you.
Just, the septic or sewer?
Septic.
If anybody checked, we just got into another problem with 3 lots. They built the houses bigger than what the lot is. Now they're trying to figure out how they're going to solve that problem. So these look like huge houses to go on those lots. Is it going on septic when you only have, you said 38 foot, so that gives you, that's not a lot of room. Have you already got it approved for septic through the state or county?
Greg told me that we're gonna talk with you, and once we
Can you speak into the mic?
They mentioned that we should discuss with you all, and then once we get through this, we can go towards the state.
Yep. Septic, you have to go through the county.
County.
Yeah. I don't see with the space, nothing wrong, this looks like a great house, but down there, most of those houses are 1,000 square foot. I mean,
So
you're
that's-
putting 3 houses in a place that are 1,000 square foot houses that are not anywhere what those are. And then the space-wise, I don't know where you're gonna put the septic.
We also have plans, and the engineer that I work with, the architect, we build on like 5,000 square foot lots in College Park and Winter Park.
Yeah.
So we're familiar with the layout and how to structure this. The only thing is, yes, this neighborhood, about 7 out of every 10 houses are owned by like an LLC or investment company, and they're neglected. So we're bringing new product to improve on the area.
I think they're great looking houses.
And, no, we'll take care of it if you guys approve.
Can I ask you a question? What's the price range?
The price range of that, mid-3s.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? Anybody else?
You answered all my questions.
Huh?
You've already asked all my questions, so.
And then also on, along Worst Road, you have 1960s houses up in a higher 200s, so.
Oh, believe me, I know. I know.
It's not to me, it's not.
I used to own one of those for $6,500. so that was when I first married a long time ago.
It's not, again, I see you're improving the area. I'm more concerned with the drainage, and I'm concerned with, as the mayor mentioned, septic tanks that we don't know that you're going to be able to accommodate us. If we approve this, I would rather see that you have everything in line regarding a septic tank. Because, and drain, I'm concerned about both those factors.
I would say if you approve it, once I get to that step, I'll definitely push it forward, try to get through there. If not, then we'll be doing 2 houses.
I will say that the septic line, sewer line runs right behind those, where you're putting those houses. It's not right. So
We can do
James,
sewer.
is that where they
We
could
would
hook
do
up to
sewer.
those?
It's not.
Mayor, there is a force main in the area,
Yeah.
but it's not able to be connected to with these 3 single-family homes. And yes, the first part of the septic tank permit through the Orange County Health is they test the soil locations, and if it doesn't work, then he would be down to the 2. He has the legal right under the old platted lots to have them. He's not creating new lots today, so.
Okay. All right. I'm going to close the public hearing and bring it back to the dais. Need a motion.
Okay, I heard he has the right to have 3 lots there, correct? No. That's what, this is getting very confusing at times.
He has the right to apply for septic permit. If you're creating new lots today, if you took a 5-acre and split them up to have septic and well, you have to have certain lot sizes above 5,000 square feet. So he's grandfathered in to be able to apply for a septic permit. If he was creating a new subdivision today, we would have the ability and require him to connect to the sewer and put a lift station in. He gets to bypass that because these lots were platted in the early 1900s.
So it sounds like you're going for 3 homes, and if you run into an issue, if you condense it down to 2, it reduces the risk or mitigates any risk moving forward when it comes to stormwater drainage or septic tank approval through the county.
Yes, his lots would exceed the minimum zoning
If you had to go down to two.
requirements. Yes, if he went to
Okay.
two.
I have no problem with approving the three, but if we run into an issue, would that have to come back before us to do some type of addendum or amendment to the current agreement?
No, what you would be doing is approving a variance to allow lot sizes of a waiver to a variance to the lot width of 70 foot to 50 feet. And if he can't achieve that, then he'll exceed it, and the variance is null. No need to come back.
You could make a motion.
I'll be happy, I'll make a motion.
Okay.
I'm going to say preface why I'm going to make this motion. Is because P and Z reviewed it, and I'm going to support that even though I do have some questions. So I guess I will make the motion to approve the 3 lots. Is that the right motion?
They're making a motion to approve the variances per the recommendation by the Planning and Zoning Commission.
And staff, because they put some
Yeah, those were
caveats there.
Were those planning and zoning, or were those?
That was staff that was
Yeah,
staff
so
recommendations.
For the house adjacent to the right-of-way, perhaps a thought we had was if it's going to get approved, instead of having a solid wall 5 feet from that paper right-of-way with a sidewalk, a condition that could be put on there is that they orient it with an active use, maybe a front door and a fence facing that area, so it's just not a 6-foot fence and a solid wall. Those are just a suggestion by staff.
And also planning and zoning's recommendations, they recommended,
I can't,
I'm sorry,
pull that mic up a little, speak into it.
sorry.
Thank you.
Okay. Planning and zoning recommended that the facade southern elevation of the house on proposed Lot 3 be similar in treatment and materials as the primary facade elevation along Lyman Street, and any fencing along the south property border of proposed Lot 3 be limited to minimum 50% transparency and shall be that of decorative materials. The Planning and Zoning Commission then voted 2-1 to recommend approval of this motion with the conditions. So again, my motion would be the conditions that were set forth by both planning and zoning and staff recommendation, what they had, the architectural facade, items 1 and 2 that you had recommended, correct, in the staff recommendation?
Yes, that's
Okay,
correct.
All right.
That would be my motion.
You're going to have to remember that.
If he's unable to achieve that with a model home, that would be something we bring back and say that condition's not met, and we can look at what he has.
All right, I need a second.
And I'll second it based on that, and the P and Z's approval and their recommendations. So
All right,
I'll second it
motion.
based on that as well.
Motion made by Commissioner Wilson, seconded by Commissioner Hall. You need to clarify that or we do it. All right. Any more comments? If not, let's vote.
Got all that down?
Motion carries unanimously. Good luck.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you, sir.
too hard, was
It was-
All right, we're going to take a 5-minute,
Oh, we can-
and I mean 5-minute intermission.
No, you did great.
Hey, how you doing, man? How's it going? Hey, good to see you. Yes, sir. I have, before the end of the meeting, Commissioner's comments to talk about. These are activities on the lake. I am. You weren't supposed to see that. The same, just give me an update. I recommend from them. Hey, I see that Adrian submitted his application. Yeah. Yeah, I know Mr. Hall. It'd be nice, hovering over the lake. It'd be real nice, wouldn't it? That was a little
Back to order, we'll start off with item number 21, large-scale preliminary site plan for CMEX concrete batch plant, 450 Ocoee Road. The Development Services Director, Rumor.
Thank you, Mayor. For the record, Michael Rimmer, Development Services Director, City of Ocoee. And I do want to also introduce Kurt Ardeman, who's acting as counsel with me tonight as the city attorney has a conflict. And Kurt.
Glad to. Mayor, Commissioners, my name's Kurt Ardeman with the Fishback Dominic Law Firm, 1947 Lee Road, Winter Park, Florida 32789. I am special counsel on behalf of the city tonight. I would like to advise you, as you probably see, the applicant appears to have a court reporter here present today, so just so you're aware of that, she appears to be taking down this proceeding, so just to put you on clear notice to that. Thank you. I will probably be speaking later after Mike's report. Thank you.
The item before us today is a preliminary large-scale site plan with waivers for a CMEX concrete batch plant located at 450 Ocoee Road. The case file is LS 2021-003. The location map up shows that the site is on 11 acres located on the west side of Ocoee Road, south of Fuller's Cross Road and north of Palm Drive. The parcel is wooded, vacant, no use on it. You can see from the aerial, it is located directly north of the park the city has on Palm Drive. That's a stormwater pond with walking trail around it. There's one or two small parcels in between on the south side as well. The project fronts Ocoee Road, which is an Orange County owned and maintained road. The item is shown as a large-scale preliminary site plan with waivers. And I'm going to kind of give you some breadth to the extent of the waivers. The property does have a zoning of I-1 and a future land use, which is light industrial, and a future land use designation of light industrial. With this, the overriding governing document for the land is the future land use of light industrial. And then you have the I-1 light industrial. As well, there is two other elements to this property I do want to disclose. And the property is located within the Ocoee Special Economic Enhancement District. It is a brownfield overlay. As well, it is located within the State Road 429 Business Character Area, which was adopted under Ordinance 2017-020. The map of the outlines of the Ocoee seed, the Brownfield Overlay, which is a tool the city uses to remove blight, and it gives opportunities for properties that do have designated brownfields to receive funding for reclamation. The State Road 429 Business Character Area is a zoning overlay by ordinance that we placed on the property in 2017, and it provides for placemaking, architectural detail, site detail, uses, and this is also a waiver to this overlay, as much as it is to the future land use designation of light industrial and the I-1 zoning. And then finally, I had mentioned it's on the Ocoee-Popka Road corridor, which we have visioned as a complete streets segment to have 2 lanes. You will have some turn lanes. You'll have a trail on the west side and a wide sidewalk on the east side. We further documented that in our joint planning area agreement we adopted with Orange County in 2019, specifically Section E, that says we will work together to make Ocoee-Popka Road a complete street section at widening. So we have an area that's just not your traditional I-1 only use. There's other layers to this. So they said that it's at 450 Ocoee-Popka Road. The site is 11.23 acres. It also backs up to the open ditch that runs to Lake Apopka. Under the St. John's drainage criteria, it would be the Lake Apopka Basin. The existing zoning is I-1, as I said, and the land use is I-1. So what we did working with this applicant over time is we agreed to, instead of making a zoning determination that does not meet the criteria of the I-1 light industrial and the future land use designation, and then having an appeal to the commission, we can see it in a site plan, so we're bringing it forward as a preliminary plan with waivers. What are they proposing? Cemex concrete batch plant is proposing on the full 11 acres, 1,750 square foot office building, over 7,000 square feet shop building, 2 silo mixers that are proposed to be enclosed at 65 feet high, open storage of materials and associated improvements to distribute cement, ready-mix concrete, and aggregates. So sort of what we're capturing as the big waivers for this project, and there may be some minor ones if this goes to if it gets approved and goes to the site plan. We may have some other ones that can be reviewed and administratively waived. These big items I determined were not suitable for me as myself as the Development Services Director per the ordinance to waive. So they're seeking a waiver to the maximum height from 35 feet to 65 feet. A waiver to allow outdoor storage. They propose to store their material outside. It would be enclosed on 3 sides. And then it's a waiver to the I-1 restricted manufacturing, which does not permit outdoor manufacturing. This is how the proposed site plan sets up. There's some road improvements, turn lanes to Orange County. They are actively working with Orange County government on those improvements. You have 1 access point on the property. The bulk of the site is in the middle where you have the silos, the open storage, and you have their buildings. And I have some renderings I'll show you. You have the open ditch to the west. This is a little bit better depiction of the site plan color. The applicant, working with the staff, they are proposing architectural details to the 2 buildings and to the silos. It would be the Florida vernacular. We have worked with them with a architect to try to come up with we came up with the Florida vernacular look, and that's what they're going to be proposing with this site plan. And that's one of the elements of the State Road 429 overlay is architectural guidelines, and the Florida vernacular falls within that. They're proposing to buffer the site with landscaping. It would not be this size at planting. It would be your normal 12-foot high and by gallons. They're proposing to a heavy landscape buffer. You can see they've also provided sort of the future Ocoee-Popka Road in this rendering. I'm going to show you the complete streets. You got the trail on the one side. We have a wide walk on the other side. And I'll just go ahead and, right from the beginning, I know you have the staff report, you have my data, but staff is not recommending this preliminary site plan and waivers. And we'll kind of go over some of the reasons. I went over touched on the big overlay zoning and land use right now. I'm going to take it a little further. The full 11 acres is going to be utilized, as you can see from this plan, and contain 2 small buildings and an element, I would say a large element of it, outdoor manufacturing. The I-1 intends for everything to be within the buildings, like we've seen with the Ocoee Business Park and the Park at 429 The manufacturing is indoor in nice concrete buildings. So on the 11 acres, they have the 1,700 square foot building and 7,000 square foot building. This use with the large outdoor manufacturing aspect, we don't have road impact fees that go by area. It's all by building size, so it'll generate about $23,000 of road impact fees compared to potentially $100,000 if we had 3 large users on the site. And I'll show you a user that could meet that criteria. The 11 acres will utilize, they need for water, they have a 12-inch water line that will run sewer to the site, but they need a well in order to water that outside stored material. Bulk of their usage will be from wells, so we will really realize in 11 acres sort of a utility bill that's comparable to several single-family homes. The outside materials, this use does not does not receive a St. John's River Water Management drainage permit, meeting the Lake Apopka rule. They have what's called a FDEP package plant. They capture all of their materials that's on the site in their on-site stormwater retention system. As well as they have to get an FDEP, I represented at the Planning and Zoning Commission. I wasn't corrected, but I believe they need to get an FDEP air pollution permit as well. They're proposing a height of 65 feet. The silos will be a little bit under that. That's to provide that Florida vernacular structure to encase it. And property taxes. Working with the applicant, they've identified a couple of sites that are existing, and it's hard to read here, but the top one is one that's in Osceola County, City of Kissimmee. They pay $2,400 a year in taxes. Again, we have a warehouse building, small office. The bulk of it's outside. Perhaps the Florida vernacular materials will raise some of the value, but and the one on the bottom is one that's located on Plant Street in Winter Garden. I believe it's moving soon. It pays just under $3,000 a year in taxes. Property taxes to Ocoee. I didn't do the full Orange County St. John's Library. So why do they need the FDE package plant permit for their stormwater? You can see from the site, this is the one in Winter Garden, the material that's all white, you can see it's not capturing it as it leaves the site. It's on Claricone, Ocoee there. It's on the road. This site, the materials leave. We're going to have a trail running in front of this site. And we're going to have potentially materials, cement trucks. They did a full traffic study, and their traffic consultant is here. They don't generate a large number of trips for 11 acres. So they did not trigger any level of service issues. They strictly have the issue with right in front along Ocoee Apopka Road, which they are facilitating those turn lanes. They will dedicate, they've agreed to dedicate 35 foot of right-of-way along Ocoee Apopka Road to help facilitate the trail in the future right-of-way improvements. As I said, this is a waiver to the State Road 429 business overlay, which was done by ordinance. And we've seen some success with this overlay. We've seen, first, we've had the Vermeer Southeast headquarters. It's finished. It has office, retail, and warehouse storage. It employs 41 people. Half of them make over $50,000 a year. This property, it does not show up on the tax roll yet because it's so new, but it'll generate somewhere at least $14,000 a year to the city of Ocoee in taxes. The Vermeer site is on 3 acres. The subject site's on 11. Ideally, we could get 3 Vermeers on this site and pay $42,000 plus a year in property taxes and have a lot of employees on the site. We have the Progress Commercial Park, which just made it through Planning and Zoning Commission. Class A light industrial. We have 27,000 square foot buildings up along Ocoee Poplar Road with this project. This is it's going to be smaller footprint than the park at 429 with building size. Overall, some of the stuff you won't see. It'll be equal to size, but it has smaller buildings. And then you guys approved the PUD on the east side of the road, 29,000 square foot flex office building with a warehouse behind it. So we have three projects, two that are approved, one that's in the process that's facilitating what we're trying to achieve with our State Road 429 business character area overlay. So to recap, the reason I'm not for this project is the waiver to the I-1 outside storage. It's not permitted in the overlay. It's not permitted in I-1. It's not intended in the light industrial. The manufacturing outside, I'm going to have a tough time working with applicants in the future on this vision plan. Who's going to want to be located next to it? Are we going to get a multifamily development, which the overlay and retail, headquarters, it kind of takes some things out of play on the north and west side, from what we've envisioned. Obviously, CEMEX is a large, great company, would love to have their corporate headquarters or some sort of element here, just not the outside storage. And I'm not, without flying a balloon, I cannot see 65 feet height in that area. You cannot provide buffering to block that. So my staff recommendation falls in line with the recommendation of the Development Review Committee, which did not recommend, voted to deny the waivers requested in the preliminary site plan, as did the Planning and Zoning Commission. Many of the members of this commission might not have been here during the State Road 429 study that we had, first with the consultant out of Texas, but then we did one, Senator Bracy got us funding, Winter Garden, Ocoee. We studied the 429, had a lot of public input, and then we drilled it down to these character areas and adopted them via ordinance. There was a lot of process that went into this, a lot of visioning, like we did very similar to the downtown. The team here that's assembled, great people. They do projects in Ocoee. They've done great stuff. Don't like to be pitted against them at all. This is just one that they know we've worked on this. We've worked on items and agreed to items and tried to make, in some cases, the best project that we could present to you, but it still misses the mark with the overlay, the land use, the zoning. With that, Attorney Ardeman will come up and.
Thank you, Mike. Commissioners, Kurt Ardeman again. Just a few points. I was asked to evaluate the application and look at your codes, your various approvals and plans that are in place. As Mike mentioned, this particular property is in the State Road 429 overlay area. It's also in the business center character area. It's also subject to the business center character area design plan, which you have adopted, and subject to your land development code. In addition to that, as Mike mentioned, under section 1.0 of the background of the business center character area, which applies to this property, this area is part of the Winter Garden Ocoee State Road 429 Land Use and Economic Development Study and Master Plan. Under that, there are at least three organizational documents. One is the vision plan and criteria, the design principles and criteria, and the district standards that all apply. With respect to your obligation as the city commission under the actual character design area plan. Unfortunately, I'd like to read some of this to you because I think it's important in your decision-making, both for the applicant so they understand and also for you in making your decision. But under that, it provides that in your evaluation of any proposed development or redevelopment within the State Road 429 overlay area, which this property is within, the city shall consider whether such proposed development or redevelopment is generally consistent with and in furtherance of the stated goals, illustrative guidelines, and long-term vision of the design plan for the character area within which this development or redevelopment is located. In addition to being generally consistent with and in furtherance of the stated goals, illustrative guidelines, and long-term vision of the respective design plan, such development or redevelopment shall comply with the special development standards set forth in the respective design plan and this ordinance. Under I-1 zoning, Mike talked about it generally, but specifically, this property is zoned I-1, and it is intended under your code primarily for manufacturing and assembly plants and warehousing that are conducted so the noise, odor, dust, and glare of each operation is completely confined within an enclosed building. Compare that to I-2, which this is not, but your code allows under I-2 zoning in different locations of the city, which I-2 is primarily intended for wholesale storage, warehousing, manufacturing, assembling, automotive body repair, automotive wrecking, or salvage yards, borrow pits, and fabrication. Further, under the your land development code, it provides under section 5-3.1, subsection C, subsection 4, that the State Road 429 overlay area, inclusive of this character area, are the following. This area is intended to create a livable transportation network with people-oriented transportation focusing on a network of street and trail connections rather than a limited system of roads, to create a strong sense of place by building upon the existing character of West Orange County and its communities, create and encourage mixed and multi-use development, create more activity at more times of the day to ensure a vibrant level of exchange, create a robust public realm by linking the community with parks, trails, and open spaces, create a front door gateway for the downtowns of Winter Garden and Ocoee, and to encourage high-quality economic development. Then, under your general development standard of the Business Center Design Plan, Section 4.4.2 mix of uses requires that the applicant must provide a market assessment, if the city requests, to permit the mix of uses to be modified. The regulating plan, which is effectively kind of a zoning overlay here, that's been adopted in Section 4.3 of the Business Center Design Plan, identifies the sub-area D mix, which this property is within, as 35% office, 10% retail, but no industrial. Section 2 of the Business Center Design Plan sets forth the vision for the Business Center character area as a district to have the following targeted industries. So you all, as the city, along with the City of Winter Garden, did this study, and your targeted industries for this area, this Business Center character area, are pharmaceuticals and biotech, medical equipment and supplies, measuring, analyzing, and controlling instruments, medical and optical, food and kindred products, aircraft parts and defense components, and digital media design. Section 2 also sets forth 4 imperative development themes. A, livable transportation network. B, strong sense of place. C, mixed and multi-use development. And D, a robust public realm. Finally, the vision plan that you have adopted for the property identified in your business center design plan is an area appropriate for higher density residential or mixed multi-use commercial and office with residential. A few other notable points and I'll finish. Under your business center design plan, Section 4.2 limits the maximum stories of industrial buildings to 2 stories. Notably, the Land Development Code limits the maximum building height to 35 feet. Section 4.4.4 prohibits outdoor storage, and the storage of equipment and vehicles must be within a building or enclosed storage yard. And last, 4.4.5 subsection D prohibits service yards next to properties planned or zoned for residential uses. That's my report. Thank you.
And both of those he was referencing are found in our nice thick studies that we have. This one's adopted by ordinance. I do want to state, we do have a development agreement in your package. There's an existing development agreement from the 80s on this property that talks about we're going to annex you in and you're going to provide water and sewer and you're going to meet our land development code. They've provided comments on this development agreement. If this project does go forward, I will provide the clerk with their copy of the development agreement. It's fine. It added the element of this existing development agreement from the 80s. So we do have a development agreement that runs with this. Thank you.
Mike, you through?
Yes, Mayor.
All right, I'm going to open the public hearing. Anybody from the opposing, or not opposing, but the other side want to speak, feel free to come up. Give us your name, who you're with.
Good evening. I'm Julie Kendick-Schrader with Greenberg Trarick, 450 South Orange Avenue, Orlando, Florida. I'm the applicant in this matter. We're actually really proud and excited to be here today to present this project to you. Following up on the staff presentation, I agree with a lot of what they said. I think that we don't agree on what's going to happen on the site, and we've actually taken steps to amend our application through the process, and we believe that we have a project that we're presenting to you that complies with the applicable criteria. So I'm just going to take a few moments to go through that. So basically, we've been working on this for about the past year and a half, and we've revised our plan fundamentally to come up with a proposed project that we believe complies with the applicable criteria and is actually going to be the nicest facility of its type at a minimum in the state of Florida, and is one of the only fully enclosed facilities in the state of Florida. So we've worked hard, we've done a lot of design modifications, and we look forward to presenting it to you tonight. So what I'd like to do, my presentation was done with input from our team, so I'd like to take a brief moment and introduce everybody to you. Again, as I said, I'm Julie Kendick-Schrader with Greenberg Trarick. I'm a land use attorney. From CEMEX, we have Dave Schultz. If you guys can just raise your hand when I introduce you. Dave Schultz, Stephen Blanton, and Sig Bowe. We have Elliot Jameson and Ryan Kingery from Jameson Commercial. They're our broker and our development consultant on this. We have Selby Weeks, who's a professional engineer and a lead AP, who's been our civil on this. Turgut Dervish, who is a PE with traffic planning and design, and Jay Hembry with Hembry Construction. So we're here to also answer any questions that you have. So I'd like to start first with the site location and the surrounding areas. You can see that where the site is located, what we are surrounded by. I think as was mentioned in the staff report, the properties to the north and in the area of this are also zoned industrial, light industrial, and this property is zoned light industrial. And we do understand, and we have created a project that we believe furthers the design and the intent of the business character plan, but we also understand that there are industrial properties currently zoned in this area. And we've been working with the business plan. However, that current zoning doesn't get taken away because of the overlay. If no industrial were allowed in the business overlay, none of these properties could develop anything under their light industrial current zoning. So we agree with the statements that were made about the intent. However, this is currently light industrial, and we believe that we've brought a project that complies with that and that meets the intent of the business overlay. So I'd like to start with where we started. This is the St. Cloud facility. You know, I know we have had communications with the city, staff, and have been working on this for about a year and a half. But to show you where we started, and also I believe one of the pictures that was shown previously was not actually a ready-mix plant, the one that had all the dirt and the dust. And I think that's also a fundamental misunderstanding that we've had about what exactly is going to happen on the property and what this project is. And so I'm here to describe that a little further. So you see where we started. That was our St. Cloud facility. It's actually adjacent to a residential neighborhood. The height of the silo at that St. Cloud facility is 85 feet, and it's not enclosed, and the offices are portables. Basically, what we did through this process is we've reimagined what a ready-mix facility looks like. So we've taken the feedback, we've looked at the business overlay, we've coordinated to make sure that we're using the Florida vernacular for our architecture. Our silos will be completely enclosed and designed to match the Florida vernacular. So I know there was some comment about manufacturing outdoors. Basically, where our trucks will be loaded will be completely enclosed. And in essence, when you ask where is the ready mix actually made, the mixture, the creation of the ready mix is actually done in the truck, which isn't even done on the site. So I think that one fundamental disagreement that we have with staff about the operation, and you guys jump in and correct me if I'm wrong, is the manufacturing and the creation of the ready mix will not take place outdoors. We believe that we presented a plan that doesn't have manufacturing occurring outdoors. So one change that we made between P&Z and today, or that we would put on the table to make, and obviously we've been working with staff. We're here if there are comments. We're here to continue to work with the city and with staff on this. But we've proposed to actually enlarge the office to 5,000 square feet. And you can see that's proposed to be a two-story permanent structure, also designed to match the Florida vernacular. And we hope that that'll help with a couple of the concerns that were raised in the staff's presentation. The warehouse will also be enclosed and will be designed to match the Florida vernacular. I know you've seen these. These are some of our proposed views along Ocoee-Apopka Road. And then, just roll. All right. This is the view across the street. Again, we've worked very hard to get something that's aesthetically pleasing and that we believe meets the intent of the business character overlay. And then we have the entrance, which was designed to be completely shielded from view. So that's how we put our application together. I know, Ryan, we have a hard copy of the application and our plans that we were going to give to you guys. I don't know how it works if you get copies with the online submittal, but Ryan's going to give that to you guys so you can take a look at what we've done. If you have any questions on the traffic report, that type of stuff. So I wanted to talk about why CEMEX, because some of the issues that have been raised go to the economic development. You know, what does this project bring to the table for economic development, for attracting good, well-known businesses to the city of Ocoee? So I just briefly wanted to go over that with y'all. Basically, CEMEX, and you guys may know, is a worldwide company with annual sales of $13 billion. They employ more than 41,000 employees. They have trade relationships in 102 nations, and they're strategically positioned across the Americas, the Caribbean, Europe, Africa, the Middle East, and Asia. So they are a substantial business concern that would be proud to be located in the city of Ocoee. We also are active in the communities where we live. CEMEX is. They take time and talent and dedicate it in the communities where they are located. And I know there were some questions about environmental, but basically they are committed to environmental partnerships with organizations such as the Habitat Council, and you guys can read this, but I wanted to just briefly introduce CEMEX. We believe they would be a fantastic partner with the city of Ocoee, and would really contribute to the economic development in the property, in the city. One of the things that staff talked about that we wanted to go over with y'all is actually the requested waivers. So the waivers that we've requested on our plan include height, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about height here in a couple of minutes. The business center design plan with no outdoor storage. So basically what the character area says is no outdoor storage of equipment and vehicles. We're not proposing outdoor storage of equipment and vehicles, but we are proposing outdoor storage of earthen materials, aggregate materials. The overlay area does allow for storage yards. So the overlay actually states, and I believe this was already read, no outdoor storage is permitted. Storage of equipment and vehicles shall be within a building or an enclosed storage yard. So we believe that with the three-sided provision facing inward in the landscaping, that we have created that. That's something obviously that we're open to further discussion on if that's an issue, but we believe that we have met that, the intent of that part of the code. So can you just go back 1 minute? Again, we don't believe that we are manufacturing outdoors. So our last one, again, was the service yard that I just discussed. One of the issues discussions that we had at the Planning and Zoning Commission, I think there was some confusion of what we're proposing with a cement mill or a concrete plant, which is a much more substantial operation than what we are proposing, which is a ready-mix plant. And with this application, we're proposing an enclosed ready-mix plant. So it's significantly different. I just wanted to clear that up in case there was any questions or any thought in your mind that we're proposing a mine or a cement mill or something along those lines. So that is not what we are proposing. I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything here. Okay, so again, we believe that we have gone back and come forward with a design that was created with the community and the overlay in mind. So we're talking about height, and this is something I wanted to talk to y'all about. The silo, which is the tallest structure, is centered in the middle of the site. It will be 425 feet away from the road, which is more than a football field. And, just generally speaking, when we looked at the code, section 5.5 of the code talks about height and waivers. And it basically states to the effect of that for each 2 feet of a height waiver, you should increase your setback from the road 1 feet. So our setback with this proposed silo, using the formula provided for the waiver, on the front we're over 6 times the recommended setback in the code. On the north we're over 10 times. On the south we're over 8 times the recommended setback. And on the west we're again over 10 times. So we do understand that we're asking for a height waiver. That is not habitable area. This is the silo. And it is significantly set back into the middle of the site, which we believe will mitigate any impacts of the height waiver. Again, we've designed for the Florida vernacular, and and the storage of the aggregate will be enclosed on 3 sides into the interior of the facility. No material will be seen from the right-of-way or the surrounding properties. It was designed to be shielded from the view. So a little bit about the environmental provisions on the ready-mix facility. The ready-mix industry is regulated strongly at the state level through DEP, and there is an existing permit regime in place to deal with air and stormwater regulatory issues. They are held to very stringent standards, and that basically, again, CEMEX is committed to environmental excellence and is held to a high standard by the existing state regulations of the industry. As I mentioned before, and you saw this in the staff's presentation, this is the proposed site plan. We will have landscaping, increased buffers, a significant setback, an increased setback for the structure for which we're requesting the height variance, and we will, again, continue to work with staff to provide an opaque buffer for the property. I wanted to talk a little bit, I've talked a little bit about CEMEX, the company, and what it brings to the table. We want to talk about what this facility will bring to the table, because I know there's been a question about whether or not we meet economic development objectives of the code and the plan. This facility plans to employ approximately 40 workers, and our median salary at this site will be $75,000. So we will be bringing high-wage jobs to the city of Ocoee. CEMEX, in one of their base tenets, there is a commitment to diversity. We will work to bring a diverse workforce to this facility, again, with a very high median average salary. So we do believe that we will be an economic benefit to the city of Ocoee with the implementation and the building of this facility. And we talked a little bit about real estate taxes. So the current real estate taxes on this site are $9,000, and we just went on the Orange County tax assessor and put in, a proposed price, which came out with estimated total taxes between $41,000 and $49,000, but that doesn't include the structures that we're proposing to build on the site. So it actually should be more at the end of the day. Traffic and infrastructure impact, as we indicated, and I believe that staff indicated, we submitted a traffic study which showed very minimal impact from the project. We're proposing additional turn lane, minimal need for city services, and we went back and we took a look at the water usage, and that's part of the reason why we increased the size of the office on the site. But basically, our estimated water usage is approximately 2,042 gallons, and that's per day, right? Okay. A 75,000 square foot facility, a warehouse facility, similarly situated on that property, would produce about 5,000 gallons, so we're roughly 40% if there was a traditional light warehouse facility on that piece of property. So it is less, but not a lot less. I have my team here. We respectfully would request a motion to approve the preliminary site plan application and the 3 waivers requested on the face as consistent with the comprehensive plan and the land development code. We thank you for your time. As I indicated, we have our team here. We're happy to answer any questions that you may have. We would be very proud and excited to be able to have our operations and our employees here in the city of Ocoee. And thank you for your consideration.
Anybody else in the public have any comments to make before I close the public hearing and bringing it back up to the dais?
Mayor?
All right.
Do I get an opportunity to talk, to discuss the presentation and the merits they raised?
I can't hear you.
Yeah, I get an opportunity to discuss their presentation and clarify any questions you have as part of the
Well, that's why I want to close the public hearing, bring it back, then we'll do that with you. All right, I'm gonna close the public hearing, bring it back to the dais, all right? So anybody have any questions of, staff, and then we can go further if we want to. All right, commissioners. Mike, first of all, do you want to talk before I let them ask you questions?
Yes, let me just state
All right.
that in the presentation, it was stated that under the I-1, you could not do uses. Obviously, in the overlay, as the attorney Ardeman read, there's a laundry list of uses under the overlay that's allowed. And just for your edification, in the I-1, the Land Development Code allows opportunities in the I-1 zoning for C3 uses, and C3 allows for C2. So there's a lot of opportunity for development on I-1. Second, with the operational and manufacturing, and what the discussion we're having, where we're not seeing eye to eye, is you don't get the materials into the silos. The silos are not totally enclosed because they have to use bulldozers to scoop up the product that's stored outside, drive it there, load it into the silos, back out, and then it does its operation. It's not done in an enclosed building underground with conveyor belts. Materials in, materials stored outside, materials in via outside. That is part of manufacturing. Materials in, materials out, you get the product. So there is an element of this, hearing the chirping of the bulldozers, loaders, whatever operation they use to facilitate their manufacturing. And this outside manufacturing, you got to remember, in your staff report, you see the definition. The comprehensive plan is the guiding principle first. Second is the overlay. The overlay specifically does not permit outside manufacturing. The future land use for I-1 is the district is intended primarily for manufacturing, assembly plants, and warehousing that are conducted so noise, odor, dust, and glare is wholly confined with an enclosed building. We know for a fact that noise, dust, perhaps odor is done outside because they need a package plant from FDEP. They need a package plant stormwater permit, and they need a pollution permit, air pollution permit. It's done outside. Not permitted in the overlay, specifically. The utilities, the 3,000 gallons, that's 7 houses. Just to, the warehouses, this could be 480,000, could be a lot of different things. Could be office, could be multifamily and retail and a small apartment community. Just want to say we have a 12-inch line to facilitate development, and this is just not going to be a big utility user, and we'll need a well. So I just wanted to hit on that again for the waivers. It is manufacturing outside. The height, it could be 50. Could we have 3 silos at 45 feet? Could we have 4 at 45? We don't know. We just have a proposal for 65 foot. And then lastly, I wanted to show you the site in Kissimmee. There is the light industrial subdivision and the residential acreage subdivision to the south were platted about the same time. This is the road. Their site would be located in a little bit larger space, but here, you don't have that gap between the road and where the site is. So it's not apples to apples. There is residential near. Just wanted to bring that to your attention. And I think I covered all of the sort of the elements. So it's a waiver to the overlay, as I stated, primarily. Secondary, it doesn't meet the I-1 zoning regulations. Thank you, Mayor.
All right. I'm going to open the public hearing back up where the applicant can, if you want to talk again towards what he just did, feel free.
I'm Steve Blanton. I'm with CEMEX. Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. I just want to make a point as it relates to manufacturing. In our world, if you look at the American Concrete Institute, what we look at is when water meets Portland, cement, the powder, that's what we consider manufacturing. And I think there's a lot of talk about what gets from point A to point B, but I think that's almost in anything you do. If something's coming into Walmart before they put it on their shelves, it's got to get to the store. So that can be any type of warehouse space, anything you look at. For us, our material's going to move in, sure they are, but we're not manufacturing a product that, by the way, we're all standing on here tonight, that's built around us. It's not some huge pollutant. There seems to be this misnomer that we're working, FDEP is coming down hard on us. Guys, we live in these buildings of the materials we produce. It's not a high pollutant. And the manufacturing of that product takes place when the water hits the cement that happens to go in our truck, which we're proposing is completely enclosed in a facility. And that's all I had. If you guys have any questions for me, please let me know.
Yeah, I think that's it. We made our points and talking about the air permit. This will actually be one of the only enclosed facilities in the state of Florida. So I think that also lends to whether there's going to be dust or anything else. We are proposing to put this inside a building. So.
All right, now I'm going to close it back, public hearing back, bring it back to the dais, and now open it to the commissioners. All right, commissioners. Commissioner Brinson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a bunch of questions. And first question is, because I've been down to your plant down in St. Cloud. I've also seen other plants around the Orlando area. And my concern is, especially here in Ocoee, is Lake Apopka. Because regardless of how much water you use, it's got to go somewhere. You got to dispose of that water. So I guess one of my first questions is your product, is the dust considered hazmat? Come on down, don't be shy.
Just come up, stand up, and then if they want to ask you questions, we can ask.
Thank you, y'all. I'm going to turn this over to Sig Bo, who's the environmental expert for CEMEX.
Sig Bo with CEMEX, 4505 Packard Avenue South, St. Cloud, Florida. What was your question?
Yeah, the question is, it's like a multi-part question. First part of that question is your dust considered hazmat?
No.
Okay, so, but the dust will be some dust, that your operation will produce, right? Is that fair to
There's
say?
potential. I'm not going to say there's no, but as we're getting our materials, it's blown up into the silo, which the emissions from that is captured in a bag house, which is regulated by the state or the DEP.
And the disposition of that is, how do you dispose of that product?
It's a bag house that sits on top of the silo, so it just drops back in the silo.
Okay, so it's self-contained, but also it just gets repopulated back into the other materials? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
'Cause
In that particular cement dust. Yes, which is all indoors in that particular facility.
Say that again?
That is indoors in that facility.
Okay, because my concern is every site that I've seen from CEMEX and whomever else, I've always seen dust associated with it. Always. I've never seen a plant or a site that didn't have dust. And so when I start looking at the surrounding area and there's a white film or gray film over everything, in my mind, I'm associated with that site. And so with Lake Apopka, Lake Apopka is one of those lakes that, the state is working hard trying to recapture the life back in that lake. So what do you do with your runoff? Is that going off into the lake? And of course, you asked my question as far as the disposition of any dust or byproducts that you have from your site, but I'm not sure all your byproducts are staying on the site. what happens to the stuff that you guys produce that, where do you take it? What happens to it? Because I want to make sure it's, because our aquifer is where we get our water from. And I know we talked about this before at length when I came down there, and probably fortunately and unfortunately, I was in Hazmat. So I'm familiar with a lot of that Hazmat speak, if you will, to include haz waste. That's, you know, so when I look at the dust, that's part of it. But also, you know, on top of all of that, I have to explain this to my constituents, why there's a film of dust on their car that you just washed 4 hours ago. And that's something that I have to be able to explain away. So help me, convince me to explain that away to my constituents where they'll buy into it.
So what you're referring to is fugitive emissions, and we're regulated by the county and the DEP ordinances.
Mhm.
So Orange County regulates compliance. For the runoff, most of our sites, we're permitted 6 different ways under, as he stated, the generic permit. They're 0 to minimal discharge. Most of them are 0 discharge off sites, while the water is kept on site and reused. If it does discharge, it's only allowed to discharge at certain points. It's set maybe like an event of a hurricane or a 24-year storm event. At that time, if it does discharge, the water is regulated by the Florida quality standards.
And Commissioner, if I could just add one point to that, and I appreciate the concern because we're involved here, our kids live here, right? But the product we're talking about, we're all standing on today. It's when people think, and I know they think of us as it's some huge pollutant. It's the concrete block we're sitting in. It's the concrete we're standing on. If it runs off, if you go to a boat ramps are made of concrete. Concrete's there. It's not gonna, you know, the aqueducts in Rome are made out of concrete. It's not some hazardous material that's gonna, you know, poison us all. So I appreciate the concern, but I think as far as the hazard, there's not a lot, and like Sig was mentioning, our facilities are contained. There's no one better in the business than we are. We live in Florida, there's a lot of pollen too. So there's gonna be, like Sig was mentioning, the bag house, and you came and visited the plant, those silos are now enclosed. We put a roof over it. Everything from a cement producer is gonna be inside that structure that the silos are in.
Okay. Yeah, and again, I'm you know, I'm happy that you know, you're affiliated with the Habitat Council, because you can, you know, stay engaged with the environment. But again, it's not just putting your plant here, it's being able to explain why we allowed that plant to be here. And so what benefit to the city are you bringing? And that's one of the questions I had. That's the last question I had, Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner Brinson, and as part, I agree, the materials they have are not hazmat. Just what I look at as a development services director, as a development review committee member, I look at all of this outside storage of materials. You see the bins here, you see the bins here. We're relying on a sprinkler system to make sure your constituents, the taxpayers of Ocoee, are not getting dusted. That's what we're relying on. And the vision plan says this is not in the vision. I would surmise this is appropriate in I-2 or in a rural setting, not next to a trail. Because as the site is used, we've got to rely on sprinklers to tamp down this dust. But we also do have vehicles coming to this wash rack to be washed off. They're bringing stuff, the dirty trucks to the site on a future beautiful Ocoee Apopka with a trail and a wide walk, employment generator, retail, so. But yeah, the material is fine.
All right. You through, Commissioner Brinson?
Yeah, I'm finished.
Commissioner Wilson?
Thank you. I don't think I'd be the first to say that the value of your product, I don't think any of us are making any comments regarding that. We use it every day. Concern besides, kind of going off what Commissioner Brinson mentioned, is right behind it is the Palm Park, which I believe, Mike, if I'm correct, is a watershed area from the Wekiva River? water basin? Mike's up in the back, sorry. Would you explain, first of all, the overlay program we worked very hard on, and that kind of stands kind of foremost in my mind. Palm Park, behind it, what was the purpose of Palm Park? Was that a watershed area for,
Commissioner, Palm
Chicago-
Park was developed
What
right
was-
when I started. It's a regional, it's a pond,
does anyone remember if it was a watershed or something? I just recall, I'm sorry. It's been quite a few years.
it's a stormwater treatment facility packaged to look like a park.
And it was from, was it Wekiva, was it all in the Wekiva?
Part of the
River
St. John's,
Basin?
part of the Lake Apopka Basin, yes.
Does that have any effect on the discharge from this facility?
Well, they'll tell you that they're designed to hold everything, but they did say there is that storm event that some, and they are regulated, and they have to provide, I'm sure, documentation that they're meeting that.
Well, I don't think I have much to ask, much more to offer, but the overlay program, the heavy industrial, was not part of our plan when we initiated that overlay program, correct?
Yes, there was no heavy industrial land use or zoning within this area, and we did not introduce that as an element in the overlay, the State Road 429 overlay.
That was our gateway to the city, and that was all incorporated in that area,
Yes.
in that plan.
Yes, in that plan, we did a character area for the Plant Street, Franklin side. We did the business character area, and then we had up at West Road the interchange by ordinance, yes.
Okay, thank you, I have no further questions, sir.
Commissioner First.
Could you explain a package plan permit, what that is?
I'd have to have him explain it to me.
What?
I'd have to have him explain what a package one is. but
Okay.
We operate under the,
That's fine, as compared to the St. John's River Water Management District and their requirements.
if we operate under the generic permit back in the early 1990s. The state of Florida did an extensive study, a multi-year study on concrete batch plants. And based off that, they developed the generic permit specific to a concrete batch plant. We're the only one that can operate under that permit.
Is it more stringent than the St. John's Water Management requirements?
It's as stringent or more.
So if that's the case, would
And just on a side note, we
the
do
company
operate,
be willing to apply for the St. John's Water Management District permit?
we operate only specifically under the concrete batch plant. We don't have options to go under other permits.
Okay.
Commissioner, we do have the engineer.
Hi, Selby Weeks with Klima Weeks Civil Engineering at 385 Douglas Avenue in Altamont Springs. I just, heard your question about St. John's because this is regulated under the DEP generic permit for concrete batch plants. I don't think St. John's would even review a submittal on this, but just, I looked at the DEP generic batch permit requirements. They're very similar. I could walk you through and show you. They talk about permanent pool volume. They talk about it's a wet detention system. They regulate there's a treatment volume that's required just like St. John's. But like Sig said, one difference is that there's a greater volume retained than is normally required, would normally be required by St. John's. And then they're also required, some of the water from the plant has to be contained in an impermeable container, so it's not in direct contact with the ground, and that can be a concrete bottom to it. So like he mentioned, there are additional requirements for this over and above what would normally be required for basically any other use, even industrial.
Where do you retain this water on site?
In ponds and in sediment basins.
And how is it disposed of from there, the retention?
It's not. They actually, so some of the water does perk into the ground just like it would in a regular pond. They're allowed to have, in a wet detention system, you have some bleed off from it, but they actually recycle a lot of this water. So what they try to not have any discharge from the site. They can use the water to wet aggregate. So and then some of that wet aggregate and those products leave the site that way and end up in the building, in the building we're sitting in. So if they use that water, they're allowed to use that water, and they do use that water out of the ponds as part of their process to basically, take that volume back up.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You mentioned in your presentation that you're going to employ 45 people at this site. Are they going to be employed every day at the site?
Yeah, I think, good question. I think it was 41 is what we presented, and they will be at the site every day. They come to work.
And what kind of jobs will they be performing out there for $75,000 a year?
So we have CDL drivers, we've got our batch plant operators, we've got plant managers, warehouse managers, forklift operators, dispatchers, field service reps. It's a full-on facility that we're proud of. I think we've put together a good plan, a state-of-the-art plant. In our world, it'll probably be the best ready-mix plant in the state of Florida, hands down, I can tell you that. And there'll be a bunch of good guys working there, and ladies.
Thank you.
I would like to make one point of clarity about the dust, Commissioner Brinson. And one of the views we saw earlier is a terminal, the one over in Lockhart. If you look at those silos, you can see those silos everywhere, and that's a cement and fly ash terminal. So you get more traffic in and out of that plant. It's a large site. It's a mechanic site as well, and we're not proposing that here. The other thing I would like to mention on using water, I think Sig touched on it. We're plentiful when it comes to having water at a facility and using that to recondition our aggregate. I guess you can say you're relying upon sprinklers, but we don't have problems with sprinklers. Our business is built on that. The product we put, the roads that we drive on within DOT are dependent upon us producing a product where we saturate our material. And all our families drive on it. So that's not something we come in and take lightly, like, oh, a sprinkler's out, we're gonna have, you're gonna have dust. No, because for the material for us to make, it has to be saturated 24/7. So those sprinklers they don't go out in our operation. And if it makes a difference, I know, we talked about enclosing those. Mike mentioned that. Look, for our operation to function, could we do something more on an enclosure? Probably, but I don't know that it's going to encompass, dust. So if we're talking about closing it in completely, we can look at it. We'd be open to discussing it. But I think from a standpoint of us conditioning the aggregate, you shouldn't get a lot of dust.
Right. And if I'm, what? Okay. You might answer my question.
Hi, my name is David Schultz. I'm the Vice President and General Manager of CEMEX for Central Florida. You need my address? You need my address, is that right? 111? No? Okay. Anyways, I just got back from, I spent, you talk about dust suppression. I just spent the last 4 years running our Arizona business. And if you want to talk to somebody who is crazy about dust, go to Arizona, all right? But the dust suppression systems we have out there not only include the water that we use to recycle aggregates, it is sweeper trucks. It is a constant situation of getting the roads out front to make sure we're not dragging dust out front. They've got bumpers as you go through that wet the trucks and clean them off. So if you're worried about dust everywhere, we have options that we can work within the community to make sure we're doing the right things. And that's the hope here, is we can come to a good partnership and move forward.
Right. And I think you guys know what you're doing. That's first, and I have to give you credit, because you couldn't become almost $20 billion company without knowing what you're doing. One of the questions that we have to ask is, how does this affect Ocoee and the residents therein? So when we start looking at infrastructure, and anyone up here will tell you that infrastructure is a big deal to me. I don't know what your hours of operations are. I don't know how these big trucks will enter and exit. The roads, the egress and ingress points for your operation, how much dust will come onto the roads because it's just natural, And of course, as mentioned earlier, acts of God, if you will, inclement weather, the effects of that, to include, you know, we in Florida, so we have tropical storms and hurricanes that come through. All that plays a part on top of what are the aesthetics of this site when we put it into our overlay?
Yep.
Is it really part and parcel to what we're trying to do for the master plan for our city? And we have to look at that. We have no choice. And so that's the challenge that I'm having, because, you know, I'm of the same mind that you are, that we need, you know, concrete, we need cement, we need blocks, we need all the above, but everybody wants it, but no one wants it in their city. I get that.
Yeah.
I get that. But that's our job. We have the tough job of trying to strike that balance between the corporate world and our citizenry. So bear with us as we talk through this.
All right. Commissioner Oliver.
Well, I'm hearing a potato, tomato. That's what I'm hearing, because staff is presenting this one way, and CEMEX is presenting it another, with three overlying fundamental differences in what we're saying here. And that would be the 65-foot height in the silo, the outdoor manufacturing, and thirdly, the storage of materials. And we've all heard what staff presented, and I've heard what CEMEX has presented. I do have one question, though. What is the difference between concrete and cement? Oh,
Speak into the mic.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
First time ever I've been told I'm too quiet. Flour to bread. So cement, like the big terminal we showed you earlier, is the powder, right? So you've got your powder you're going to mix with the water that hydrates. That's what the cement is, and the concrete's the finished product that we're all walking on.
so the cement would be the powder, so that would be what we would talk about. We talk about dust. When we talk about dust and powder, so that would be cement. So are there any hazardous components to cement? What is the regulation, what is the regulatory compliance on cement?
SIGs are environmental, man.
Come on down, Sig.
Again, in this particular facility, you're talking about he was referring to their fugitive emissions more than the cement dust emissions, which is if they're generated during delivering of cement, which goes into the bag house, which is going to be enclosed. They're different limits. The dust that he was referring to earlier that he sees is not necessarily the cement dust coming out of the silo. It's the fugitive emissions on the yard.
So does the cement sit outside?
No, cement's in a fully enclosed silo.
Fully enclosed silo. Okay. All right.
So this is, Commissioner Oliver, I don't know if you can hear me. So if you look at the rendering, this is where the big building in the middle, if you see the silos in a typical concrete plant, we're going to enclose those. So from, start to finish, when they pump off, there's typically, I guess an elementary way of putting it is they've got a vacuum on top of those silos. So any dust that would come up, those vacuums suck up. And on top of that, what we're proposing is we're going to enclose it in a building. So let's assume the vacuum didn't suck it up. It's still going to be inside a building where it's not going to go off property.
Okay. There's been several mentions of the surrounding areas to the north and south, as well as to the west of the property. Is there any, well, the west would be the pond area, which is a buffer between the 429 and the stated property. Is that correct, Mike? As far as to the west of the property?
To the west of the property is a ditch, and then you have land, you have a Pine Street before you hit the 429.
Before you get to 429.
Yes,
Okay.
a lot more property within the business character area.
What is the future development for the properties to the north and south of it?
That is a great question. They are all envisioned in the business character area, which is adopted by ordinance. It is codified by ordinance. It is a plan to have opportunities for small light industrial, mixed-use commercial, office, retail. That is the vision of this, to provide opportunities to live, work, provide opportunities to have in-migration of jobs, and to have opportunities to enjoy the trail along the Ocoee-Apopka in a setting for a medium and high-density use. And so that is the question. With a 65-foot tall tower and the operation outside, which is an outside use, what's going to locate next to it? That's what I cannot tell you is the detriment potentially to this use going on there, not meeting the overlay, is what's going to want to locate next to it, A, and B, developers are going to point to the outside storage to say, well, it's over there, why can't I have outside storage? So,
Okay, thank you. I have two more questions. One is I'm envisioning these trucks, and I did visit the facility in St. Cloud, and I only saw a few trucks on the yard while I was there. And I'm envisioning these trucks going out, hitting the road. I'm seeing Fuller's Crossing, which is just north of this facility. And we've had so many issues with Fuller's Crossing, even though we're expanding it now. But now we want to add trucks on the road. I'm envisioning these trucks hitting the road going north, south, on Ocoee-Apopka Road. So I'm concerned about the hours of operation. Can you just give me an idea of what the typical operation would look like as far as how many trucks will you house at the facility, and how you're dispatching these trucks in the morning, noon, or at night?
So good question. I'm glad you asked that. And Mike, I got to tell you, I got a little excited earlier when you were talking about you had 3 projects across the street. I'm going, that's probably going to be good concrete jobs. And what we're going to do with those concrete jobs, we're likely going to service one or some of them, and we're going to do it in the middle of the night. So whoever's riding their bicycle down the trail, and I'm far from being a traffic study expert, but most of our volume, most of our production is when the typical population is asleep. We run. The roads are empty. That's where we do the majority of our horsepower. Is there someone that needs to pour a sidewalk at 10 o'clock? Sure. But the majority of our in and out of the gate is not when the sun's up. That's when our business is slowing down and we're going to get some sleep. Does that answer your question?
That answers my question. I have one last question, and it just piggybacks on Commissioner Benson's question. I want to know what is the benefit of having a CEMEX in the city of Ocoee? What is it going to do for the quality of life for any of our citizens in that area or in the surrounding areas? You mentioned the jobs of $75,000 a year and the different types of jobs. What is the plan to increase the quality of life, or what is the benefit for being in our city?
Good. Appreciate you asking. So I can tell you all of the people that are based here in this business live here. And when I say live here, we're in this area, right? We're involved in our communities. Our kids play Little League, go to dance, do whatever it is they do. We're heavily involved, and I would call it a corporate culture to where we have to give back to the community. If you're not doing that, you're not going to be a good fit as CEMEX. I can tell you that right now. We want to give back. We want to do things that are beneficial for our community. I don't care what type of outreach it is, if it's giving to the homeless, if it's taking care of, veterans. We go out and help with Habitat for Humanity. We donate material to take care of people in need. What's that? Training. I mean, you name it when it comes to being involved in a community and taking care of people to the best of our abilities. We're all about it. I know the healthcare workers, we just did a nice thing for them over in the city, a nice little pavilion area. We've done some nice walls. We've done some nice, you name it, over the years. We're ate up with it, but we live here. And I can tell you, I grew up in a small town similar to Ocoee in Brooksville, and Cemex would always deliver. We had a Lime Rock parking lot. Here would come the Lime Rock, right? Every year to do that. We needed sand for the ball fields. Cemex was there to do, taking care of sponsorship teams. So I don't know if there's a dead nuts answer to it. I would just tell you we're heavily involved in our communities from top to bottom. It's a corporate culture. We're about giving back, and I don't know, Dave, you probably, I mean, he's far more traveled than I am, and I can tell you that's what we do.
Is there any plans to hire local Ocoee residents that may be looking for work through job fairs or whatever you may have, our citizens that may be looking for work in the near future?
So we're working, if you know anybody, send them our way. I think CDL drivers we'll take all of them you can get. Masons, we'll take anybody you can get. We're hiring as fast as we can possibly hire to fill the need of the growth right now. And I can tell you we're doing some things with the Ox School of Construction. Guy, he's working with some vets, breaking them down, building them up. We're donating to his cause to see if we can pick some drivers off that way and add to our fleet and to our team. So we're constantly brainstorming on how we can get more people in the gates and on board them at Cemex.
Let me just add. Elliot Jameson Commercial. I just want to add a couple of things. The traffic's been talked about. When we met and talked with Orange County, and the traffic study does not require any turn lanes, any decel, XL lanes. Cemex is choosing to install those just because they think it's the right thing to do. Not because anyone is requiring it, but because that's the kind of partner they are to a community. As far as the properties around it, I am personally under contract on a piece to the north because Cemex is there. When Cemex started to go and wanted to go, I said, you know what, that's going to validate the city of Ocoee with a monster company of Cemex. This is a world-class company. So the minute they went, we jumped in and said, you know what, I'm going to put my personal money, and I am personally under contract to the property directly to the north. So as far as what does that mean to the properties around it, well, I'm standing here telling you, I'm buying one. I'm putting my money where my mouth is, and I'm waiting to go. So I just need a blessing tonight so I can continue my play and close on that property, and we can bring this great company to the city. I couldn't help myself. I just had to.
All right, I figure if I speak for an hour, we'd be here at about 10, and then we can start discussing the rest of it. Maybe not. Maybe not. Well, I think I've heard everybody's parts of like and what not like and dislikes. One of the things I will say that when this started about a year and a half ago, and I didn't realize it was that long ago, I will say that what I seen then and what I see now is a lot different than what it was then. I will say that. It was things that was asked for by our staff that they seemed to do. And when like I said, I went to St. Cloud and looked at that. But there is houses around that place in St. Cloud. Mike said something about the houses not being there, but there are a lot of houses around that place. And I know they come off that road probably 5, 6, 7, 800 feet back, but that's a lot different than what I seen at the other place. And I know that everybody has problems with, it seems like when we get into doing something for a project or anything, it's always some detriment to somebody, and I don't know. I know I've had people tell me they don't want to see it, they don't want to do it, but also I look at the things we're doing in our city, like on the north side of town, we're building probably 1,500 houses up here with blocks and concrete and stuff, so it seems to be something everybody uses. Like I said, I'm not gonna talk real long about that. I want to see what everybody's process is, and I've heard it. I think that some of the things that Winter Garden's brought up too, I know we do a lot of things with Winter Garden. I know there's some things that we all do, and some of us don't like. Somebody does something we don't like, so that's the way it works. But I will say that there is things going in on the north side of that project. It's approved, was approved at the Planning and Zoning Board probably last week, that McCraney is putting in up there on the north side. It's gonna be warehouses, and not the big ones they wanted to at the front, but there is gonna be warehouses under that project off that, up on that street, and it'll run over to Pine Street. So there is, and that's gonna be concrete. So let's all look at the whole picture. I don't know yet what I'm doing, so, but I'm just telling you, there's a variance here for everything. And I am glad to see you did do things we asked about it. I sat in on one of the meetings, and I heard our staff ask them specifically to change the way that place looked, put it inside. And he's right, I haven't seen another one inside, so I don't know. So that's so that was what I wanted to say. I don't feel like waiting at 10 o'clock to start something else, so we're gonna close the public. I think I closed it, but I think I opened it up again, and now I've lost track of closed and unclosed. So I'm gonna make sure it's closed. I'm closing it, bringing it back up here. So we gotta get down now to deciding. So, anybody else have any comments? Or do we need to take a 5-minute break before we come put the crucible down here? I know Commissioner Wilson we are gonna take a 5-minute break. Everybody think about it a few minutes, because Commissioner Wilson done sent me a note. 5-minute break. 5 minutes.
go on all night, get away from that.
Are we moving this?
All right, we're gonna open the meeting back up. We'll get back up to the dais here. Somebody make a motion or,
Can I ask one more question?
oh, why not?
We have our legal counsel here that's representing us. Is there something you, I mean, we've heard a lot of discussion tonight. Is there anything you feel we should, last minute statement we should kind of be thinking about?
Glad to, Commissioner. With respect to the, you heard a lot of comment from the applicant and the applicant's representatives dealing with matters that really are not the heart of the matter. I mean, the dust and things are secondary. The principal issue is the use and your vision and your plan. And if you believe that this use, as proposed, with the 65-foot high silos and the open bins and the traffic and what they've described, meets that vision and those criteria, then you can approve it. If you do not, and you think that it's inconsistent with that, and you believe that what they're proposing is not consistent with your vision and the criteria, and those waivers are more than what's needed, then you have a basis to deny it. It's not my decision, it's not CMEX's, it's not your staff's, it's yours. But you do have staff recommendation for denial, unanimous DRC recommendation for denial, and Planning and Zoning Board recommendation for denial. That it does not, this application does not meet the criteria, so you have a valid legal basis for denial. Thank you.
Let me ask, what did you ask, what did she ask you? Were you here for us, or are you here for Winterguard?
No, I'm here for City of Ocoee. I've been,
We hired you tonight?
yes, sir.
Holy
Just-
moly.
Yeah, that's,
No, but no, wait, we should have cut you off earlier.
You had that option, Mayor.
I thought Winterguard was paying.
no, he's our legal counsel. I think
Yeah, your city attorney has a conflict.
Huh?
Scott maybe wants to explain that.
I represent the property owner, so I have a conflict from representing the city,
Oh,
that's why.
well, nobody told me that.
Oh, well. I did
And
ask what Kurt was doing here.
It's kind of strange not to see you with a hat on.
Yeah, I know.
So, all right, back to the dice again. All right, commissioners, you got to make the motion. No matter what it is, I think that company is a good company. No matter what the decision is and why it comes out, I think it is a good company. And they made an effort here doing some things, but we got to go with what the city wants to do, and this is where it comes to, sitting up here at the dice. So, all right.
I'm going to make the motion to deny, based on the information tonight, and especially our overlay program, and recommendations from DRC and P&Z.
I'll second that. All right, motion made by Commissioner Wilson, seconded by Commissioner First. Any other comments? Dum, dum, dum. Drum roll. Okay, all right.
So yes is denied.
Everybody vote. Vote. Oh, wait a minute. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Wait, wait.
Whoa, whoa. Who didn't vote?
Well, I put you in, you said, hold it.
Somebody didn't vote.
Oh,
All right.
Okay.
Can we do it? All right. Motion was to deny. Passes 4-1. We can ask it again.
All right, a yes, okay. The
We're
motion
going by
was,
what she said, denied.
the motion was to deny the application and deny the waivers, and a yes vote would be supporting of that denial. A no vote would be
Yeah.
you're not in favor of the denial.
Okay.
Want to vote again?
So if you are against if you're against the application and you do not think it met the criteria, you vote yes.
Oh, yes.
Say that again?
If you do not believe the applicant met the criteria, you vote yes because the motion is to deny, just like you said, Mayor.
That's what it was, yeah.
Yeah.
Do we need to vote again?
Let's revote.
Okay, we're gonna vote again. We got the same motion made by Commissioner Wilson and seconded by Commissioner Forster. All right, let's vote. Did we get it clear?
Yep, all clear.
All right. Whew, that was. Sorry about that. Item 22. First reading of ordinance increasing the salary portion of the compensation of the mayor and commissioners. This first reading.
Yep.
You gotta read that.
Let me read the title to that ordinance. This is an ordinance of the City of Ocoee, Florida relating to salaries and compensation of the mayor and commissioners, amending sections 24-1 and 24-2 of Chapter 24 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Ocoee, increasing the annual salary of the mayor of the City of Ocoee from $4,500 per year to $9,422 per year, and the annual salary of the commissioners of the City of Ocoee from $4,000 per year to $8,375.11 per year, repealing ordinance number 96-23 of the City of Ocoee, providing for severability, providing for codification, providing an effective date.
All right.
Mayor, can I go on
That's
record?
that's the first reading of the item 22, and we will have the next one at the August the 3rd commission meeting.
May I go on record regarding something with this, so that I want our residents to
Well, you can do that.
Can I do that
You're
right
not
now?
going to be here on the 3rd?
I'm going to be there, but I also feel as though that our residents, in full transparency, need to understand what this
Okay.
item is.
All right.
This item is basically doubling our salary from the, well, let's just use the mayor is $9,422, and the commissioners are $8,375, which is taking us 3% from 1997, is that what I'm correct?
98. 1998.
1998 to now. I have always been against us having an increase in salary. I think that we have a compensation plan, that we have medical insurance, pension, and I took this job as a service to the City of Ocoee. I can tell you right now that most of my salary gets saved and used for the next election. So I'm not in favor of this, but I feel as though our residents, in full disclosure, should know what this is, and they have an opportunity at the next meeting to voice their concern, and in between there, to notify your commissioners or the mayor what your concern is regarding this. But again, I wanted to be very transparent with this item.
Well, I'd have been transparent at the next one. I'm not for it either. I've thought about it. I'm not for it. You know, I've lived a long time, 35 years doing this for a salary that's been the same. I'm not here for a salary, you know, so, and like I said, it's not for discussion. We can, I plan on being here too, but I'm not for it. I'm not in favor of it. Like I said, I knew when I took the job, this is not a full-time, seems to be full-time sometimes, but it's not. So we'll address it at the next one.
And also,
All right.
I just wanted to ask Scott one thing about, I thought this was a charter issue. I didn't realize that we could do this, because I would think it would have to go before the residents in a referendum.
Nope, by ordinance.
Okay,
It's been that way, yeah.
okay, thank you.
But we,
I went, did a little history. There was a salary increase, I think in like 1960-something, and then another one in 1972, and then the latest one was in 1998.
98?
Actually, it was 96, the ordinance was
Yeah,
adopted to be
yeah.
effective in 98.
All right, now we're on item number 23. First reading of ordinance to approve the Duke Energy franchise agreement.
All right, this is an ordinance granting to Duke Energy Florida LLC, doing business as Duke Energy and Electric Utilities right-of-way utilization franchise, prescribing the terms and conditions relating to the occupancy of municipal streets and rights-of-way in the city of Ocoee, Florida, for the purpose of providing electric service, providing for severability of provisions, and providing an effective date.
Well, I'm gonna make a comment like Commissioner Wilson did. If I could vote to do away with them, I'd do away with them. And I don't care, you can sit here and hear it. All I know is, I sit at home with a 76 to 78 degree temperature, and come April, my damn bill goes up $100, don't make a damn what I've done. So I'm to the point, I'm tired of it. Everybody I know, my daughters is $400 living in a small house. So I don't know how the people, I wasn't gonna say poor, I am poor. I don't know how people survive nowadays with the power bills. And these companies are raking in money, and I don't care, they're raking in money left and right. And it irritates me, and that's why I asked about bringing in a power company, just like they did up in South Carolina, the town that I went to. This is ridiculous. When you get your power bill after April, they up it about $100. Go home and look at your power bill from April to May and see what it is. So I'll be saying that quite a bit at the next one. Thank you. All right. You read that already, didn't you? All right, let's go to 24.
I'm not sure, I'm not sure why your bill is like that, but, my thermostat's down 78, and my bill has been the same for 2 years. I don't know if I'm doing something right or.
Well, I need to check
I got
who
some-
read your meter.
But it's been the same for 24 months, it's been about the same, so I'm not
A
sure.
lot of people called me this week. All right, first reading of ordinance for the Latoria property at 277 13th Avenue, annexation and rezoning. There'll be 2 readings here, right?
Yep.
Okay.
This is the annexation ordinance, an ordinance of the City of Ocoee, Florida, annexing into the corporate limits of the City of Ocoee, Florida, certain real property containing approximately .17 acres located on the north side of 13th Street, approximately 1,127 feet east of North Lakewood Avenue and approximately 162 feet west of Peters Avenue, pursuant to the application submitted by the property owner. Finding said annexation to be consistent with the Ocoee Comprehensive Plan and the Ocoee City Code, providing for and authorizing the updating of official city maps, providing direction to the city clerk, providing for severability, repealing inconsistent ordinances, providing for an effective date. And the rezoning ordinance is an ordinance of the City of Ocoee, Florida, changing the zoning classification from Orange County R2 residential district to City of Ocoee R1 single-family dwelling on certain real property containing approximately .17 acres located on the north side of 13th Street, approximately 1,127 feet east of North Lakewood Avenue and approximately 162 feet west of Peters Avenue, pursuant to the application submitted by the property owner. Finding such zoning to be consistent with the Ocoee Comprehensive Plan, providing for and authorizing the revision of the official city zoning map, repealing inconsistent ordinances, providing for severability, providing for an effective date.
All right, same thing, August the 3rd, we'll be reading the second reading. Item 25, first reading of ordinance for Levon Properties at 501 2nd Street, annexation and rezoning.
Okay, this is an ordinance of the City of Ocoee, Florida, annexing into the corporate limits of the City of Ocoee, Florida, certain real property containing approximately .25 acres located on the east side of 2nd Street, approximately 577 feet south of Center Street, and at the intersection of Nay Street and 2nd Street, pursuant to the application submitted by the property owner. Finding said annexation to be consistent with the Ocoee Comprehensive Plan and the Ocoee City Code, providing for and authorizing the updating of official city maps, providing direction to the city clerk, providing for severability, repealing inconsistent ordinances. And the rezoning ordinance is an ordinance of the City of Ocoee, Florida, changing the zoning classification from Orange County R1 Single-Family Dwelling District to City of Ocoee R1 Single-Family Dwelling on certain real property containing approximately .25 acres located on the east side of 2nd Street, approximately 577 feet south of Center Street and at the intersection of Nay Street and 2nd Street, pursuant to the application submitted by the property owner. Finding such rezoning to be consistent with the Ocoee Comprehensive Plan, providing for and authorizing the revision of the official city zoning map, repealing inconsistent ordinances, providing for severability, providing for an effective date, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
All right, same thing. Next reading will be August the 3rd. Go into item number 26. First reading of ordinance for Ocoee Rentals Trust Property, 499 2nd Street.
All right, the annexation ordinance, an ordinance of the City of Ocoee, Florida, annexing into the corporate limits of the City of Ocoee, Florida, certain real property containing approximately .258 acres located on the east side of 2nd Street, approximately 670 feet south of Center Street and southeast of the intersection of Nay Street and 2nd Street, pursuant to the application submitted by the property owner. Finding said annexation to be consistent with the Ocoee Comprehensive Plan, the Ocoee City Code, providing for and authorizing the updating of official city maps, providing direction to the city clerk, providing for severability, repealing inconsistent ordinances, and providing for an effective date.
Same thing. You read the other yet?
Rezoning ordinance.
Okay.
An ordinance of the City of Ocoee, Florida, changing the zoning classification from Orange County R1 Single-Family Dwelling District to Ocoee R1 Single-Family Dwelling District on certain real property containing approximately .258 acres located on the east side of 2nd Street, approximately 670 feet south of Center Street and southeast of the intersection of Nay Street and 2nd Street, pursuant to the application submitted by the property owner. Finding such zoning to be consistent with the Ocoee Comprehensive Plan, providing for and authorizing the revision of the official city zoning map, repealing inconsistent ordinances, providing for severability, providing for an effective date.
All right, number 27, first reading of ordinance for Ocoee Reynolds Trust property at 437 Second Street, annexation and rezoning.
All right, annexation ordinance is an ordinance of the City of Ocoee, Florida, annexing into the corporate limits of the City of Ocoee, Florida, certain real property containing approximately .25 acres located on the east side of Second Street, approximately 745 feet south of Center Street, and about 87 feet southeast from the intersection of Nay Street and Second Street, pursuant to the application submitted by the property owner. Finding said annexation to be consistent with the Ocoee Comprehensive Plan and the Ocoee City Code, providing for and authorizing the updating of official city maps, providing direction to the city clerk, providing for severability, repealing inconsistent ordinances, providing for an effective date. And the rezoning ordinance is an ordinance of the City of Ocoee, Florida, changing the zoning classification from Orange County R1 Single Family Dwelling District to City of Ocoee R1 Single Family Dwelling on certain real property containing approximately .25 acres located on the east side of Second Street, approximately 745 feet south of Center Street, and about 87 feet southeast from the intersection of Nay Street and Second Street, pursuant to the application submitted by the property owner. Finding such zoning to be consistent with the Ocoee Comprehensive Plan, providing for and authorizing the revision of the official city zoning map, repealing inconsistent ordinances, providing for severability, providing for an effective date.
Same thing, August the 3rd, we use second reading. Item number 28, first reading of ordinance for Ocoee Reynolds Trust property at 504 3rd Street, annexation and rezoning.
All right, annexation ordinance, an ordinance of the City of Ocoee, Florida, annexing into the corporate limits of the City of Ocoee, Florida, certain real property containing approximately .25 acres located on the west side of 3rd Street, approximately 568 feet south of Center Street, and approximately 654 feet north of East Silver Star Road, pursuant to the application submitted by the property owner. Finding said annexation to be consistent with the Ocoee Comprehensive Plan and the Ocoee City Code, providing for and authorizing the updating of official city maps, providing direction to the city clerk, providing for severability, repealing inconsistent ordinances, providing for an effective date. The rezoning ordinance is an ordinance of the City of Ocoee, Florida, changing the zoning classification from Orange County R1 Single-Family Dwelling District to a City of Ocoee R1 Single-Family Dwelling on certain real property containing approximately .25 acres located on the west side of 3rd Street and approximately 568 feet south of Center Street and approximately 654 feet north of East Silver Star Road, pursuant to the application submitted by the property owner. Finding said zoning to be consistent with the Ocoee Comprehensive Plan, providing for and authorizing the revision of the official city zoning map, repealing inconsistent ordinances, providing for severability, providing for an effective date.
Same thing, August the 3rd, second reading. All right, item number 29, first reading of ordinance for Ocoee Reynolds Trust property at 502 3rd Street, annexation and rezoning.
All right, this is the annexation ordinance, an ordinance of the City of Ocoee, Florida, annexing into the corporate limits of the City of Ocoee, Florida, certain real property containing approximately .24 acres located on the west side of 3rd Street, approximately 664 feet south of Center Street and approximately 579 feet north of East Silver Star Road, pursuant to the application submitted by the property owner. Finding said annexation to be consistent with the Ocoee Comprehensive Plan and the Ocoee City Code, providing for and authorizing the updating official city maps, providing direction to the city clerk, providing for severability, repealing inconsistent ordinances, and providing an effective date. Rezoning ordinance is an ordinance of the City of Ocoee, Florida, changing the zoning classification from Orange County R1 Single-Family Dwelling District to City of Ocoee R1 Single-Family Dwelling on certain real property containing approximately .24 acres located on the west side of 3rd Street, approximately 664 feet south of Center Street, and approximately 579 feet north of East Silver Star Road, pursuant to the application submitted by the property owner. Finding such rezoning to be consistent with the Ocoee Comprehensive Plan, providing for and authorizing the revision of the official city zoning map, repealing inconsistent ordinances, providing for severability, providing for an effective date.
All right, you read the zoning already?
What's that?
You did read the zoning, right?
I did. We're on to 30, almost done.
Same thing, August the 3rd, second reading. First reading of ordinance for Ocoee Reynolds Trust property at 436 3rd Street.
All right, this is the annexation ordinance, an ordinance of the City of Ocoee, Florida, annexing into the corporate limits of the City of Ocoee, Florida, certain real property containing approximately .25 acres located on the west side of 3rd Street, approximately 744 feet south of Center Street, and approximately 501 feet north of East Silver Star Road, pursuant to the application submitted by the property owner. finding said annexation to be consistent with the Ocoee Comprehensive Plan and the Ocoee City Code, providing for and authorizing the updating of official city maps, providing direction to the city clerk, providing for severability, repealing inconsistent ordinances, providing for an effective date. The rezoning ordinance is an ordinance of the City of Ocoee, Florida, changing the zoning classification from Orange County R1 Single Family Dwelling District to Ocoee City of Ocoee R1 Single Family Dwelling on certain real property containing approximately 0.25 acres located on the west side of 3rd Street, approximately 744 feet south of Center Street, and approximately 501 feet north of East Silver Star Road, pursuant to the application submitted by the property owner. Finding said zoning to be consistent with the Ocoee Comprehensive Plan, providing for and authorizing the revision of the official city zoning map, repealing inconsistent ordinances, providing for severability, providing for an effective date.
All right, same thing, August the 3rd, second reading. First reading of ordinance for Covington Holding LLC at 8667 AD Mims Road, annexation and rezoning.
All right, annexation ordinance, an ordinance of the City of Ocoee, Florida, changing the, annexing into the corporate limits of the City of Ocoee, Florida, certain real property containing approximately 9.94 acres located on the north side of AD Mims Road and approximately 1,615 feet west of Apopka Vineland Road, pursuant to the application submitted by the property owner. Finding said annexation to be consistent with the Ocoee Comprehensive Plan, the Ocoee City Code, providing for and authorizing the updating of official city maps, providing direction to the city clerk, providing for severability, repealing inconsistent ordinances, providing for an effective date. And the rezoning ordinance, an ordinance of the City of Ocoee, Florida, changing the zoning classification from Orange County A1 Citrus Rural District to City of Ocoee A1 General Agricultural on certain real property containing approximately 9.94 acres located on the north side of 80 Mims Road and approximately 1,615 feet west of Apopka Vineland Road, pursuant to the application submitted by the property owner, finding such as rezoning to be consistent with the Ocoee Comprehensive Plan, providing for and authorizing the revision of official city zoning map, repealing inconsistent ordinances, providing for severability, providing for an effective date.
All right, August 3rd, second reading. All right, second reading of ordinance, public hearing, none. Regular agenda, item number 32, fire station number 38, standby generator, Public Works Director Cruz.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. There's been a lot of talk with the new, or some questioning on providing a temporary generator for temporary power up at the new fire station 38, and was asked to investigate the cost on that, which is a little under $26,000. We do not have that in the budget in the current year, so we're looking for direction from the commission is, do we want to go ahead, do you want to allocate it out of contingency or just have us roll it into the next year's budget? Contingency-wise, in talking with City Manager Frank and our Finance Director Roberts, if you, with the money you've allocated already tonight, and if you were to allocate this $26,000, there would be about $13,500 to remain in contingency.
Okay, Commissioners? Are we still planning on building another firehouse, Rob?
Yes, Mayor. I think, you know, in speaking with the Assistant City Manager, I think there's still some interest in a public-private partnership with that. What we originally did when we had to move them into the station, probably more semi-permanent structure than we originally intended, and it ended up costing us a little more. So we're just trying to, the best bang for our buck, I guess, out of the station, which was why this issue came up. Originally, it ended up costing more than we thought it would. When we got time to put the standby generator in, there was no money left. Could be done now, could be done in next year's budget. We're getting towards the end of this fiscal year. The idea came up, but this is something we want to do now. We could get a head start on getting a generator for it. We know there's going to be some lead time, but I guess it boils down to now, is there enough leeway with leaving you $13,000 in contingency for the rest of the year, or putting it in next year's budget? Probably taking delivery sometime in December, Steve, maybe?
Maybe even sooner.
Okay. Well, I'm thinking if we put it in the budget, it'd be a couple months in the budget.
If it's in the budget, correct.
I got, after 2,000, we got 39.5 in contingency.
Correct, yeah, and then this would be about 26, Mayor.
So So do we want, up to the commissioners, you want to approve that for tonight, take it out of contingency, or you want to wait till October?
Is it gonna get there any sooner? If you do it until, if it's already in the budget for, next year? If you've already put in your tentative budget for next year?
Well, we wouldn't be able to order it if we put it in the budget for next year. We wouldn't be able to order it until October 1st. So we think there's going to be a couple month leeway or lead time before we can get delivery and install it.
All right, I make a motion, we go ahead and buy the generator out of the contingency fund.
I think you gotta give me the.
Here, take that gavel while I make that motion.
I think you make it.
I'm gonna make
it.
I make the motion, we go ahead and take the generator out of the contingency fund, which will leave us $13,500, $700.
I'm gonna second that motion. I just think it's important that we get this generator sooner than later. Because we never know what's gonna happen. Wind blows hard, power goes out, squirrel runs across the line, power goes out. We just don't want to take that chance happening in the middle of the night. I understand the contingency is that we move the station in case of inclement weather, hurricanes, those kind of things. I understand that, but again, when we have inclement weather, when we're not doing that, it's still a possibility of power going out. So I would second that, that we get it sooner than later.
Motion made by Mayor Johnson, seconded by Commissioner Oliver. Any further discussion? Let's vote.
Thank you.
Okey dokey, all right. All right, down to the nitty gritty. I'm gonna read, where did this come from? Did this come from you? I'm gonna read this. City Commission announcement meeting. During the City Commission meeting, members of the City Commission are given limited time to make announcements. The purpose of the additional meeting is to give the mayor and city commissioners time to make additional announcements that were not made as part of the City Commission meeting. No formal actions on matters will be taken during this meeting. No discussions regarding matters that may come before the City Commission at a future City Commission meeting should be addressed during this meeting. As the purpose of the meeting is for sharing of general announcements by members of the City Commission that are citywide or district-wide, no public discussion input is requested during this meeting. One or more members of the City Commission may but are not required to attend this meeting. In the event the members of the City Commission have no further announcements and/or choose not to attend this meeting, there will be no meeting. Elected officials who may be present at this meeting are our commission and mayor. Okay, so we're gonna start with the, I got comments from public.
I do have one question for you concerning that announcement. Is that something that we publicize or we just reading it?
Yeah, it's
posted.
We publish it, okay, perfect.
It's on the,
No, I see it, I just didn't see where it was published.
I just wanted to read it because they had it up here.
Okay.
All right, so I have, from Evelyn Benton. Come on down. All right, 3 minutes.
Hello, everyone. My name is Evelyn Benton. Thank you. It's great seeing and hearing everything tonight. Thank you for saving us because I have allergies. I don't like dust, and we need a good generator. So I applaud it.
There you go.
Thank you so much. My name is Evelyn Benton. I'm here on behalf of small businesses inside of the West Oaks Mall. I have 3 businesses there. I've been in there for 10 years, and I'm asking for help for those businesses. And the reason that I'm asking for help is because the mall sits in the middle of this community. It is important that we keep this 1 million square feet mall to its highest standards. It's where our children come, it's where we have our movies, it's where we have our eateries. But what has been overlooked by the city is that the minority and the small businesses in that mall has held that mall by a shoestring. The pandemic has almost put us out. Now, I've advertised CNN, MSNBC, 94.5, CAC radio, billboards, I've did it all. But the pandemic has squeezed us, the life out of us. Right now, we are suffering. We have business owners who have COVID. They have no relief. And people ask, why would you want us to help you? The reason I want you to help us is because our stores don't have an outlet, meaning that when you drive by us, you don't know we're in there. Okay, we don't have any type of exposure outside of the people that's in the mall. You've seen what happened, if you've been here long enough, you've seen how the kids come in after hours, they take over the mall. We have a lot of problems with that, so our hours have been reduced to 7 p.m. Our hours have been reduced from the top from 9 a.m., 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., so we've had reduced hours. But our wages, you know, haven't increased. Our rent, when we were closed, we got 4 hours of notice, and we didn't get any relief for 3 months, but our rents were still due. So for those who are asking, well, what about my business outside? Why don't we give incentives for them to come inside? If the mall has 60% occupancy, we can attract bigger box stores. If you want more stores in the mall, we have to support the ones that's in the mall. Now, I'm not here speaking on behalf of corporate. I'm speaking on behalf of the small businesses that's in there. The small businesses that's been in this mall has attracted the other big stores, like we have the SunPass. If those little small businesses wasn't in there, it wouldn't attract that. The mall built out for the tag agencies. Okay, so the mall has big anchors that's supporting it, but it's a ghost town right now. And when I say we, I'm saying me and the creator, I'm asking for help from the city commissioners. If you can get us any grant money, any immediate funding, if you can get anyone that has affluent income to help the small stores that's in there so they can remain, and then we, in return, can attract other people to come. So that's what I'm asking for tonight.
All right, well, I do know that each commissioner has a discretionary fund that they can do some support for different things. That's why we did that. So each commissioner has the ability, they have some money that they can do that, but the problem is then when we do it, we're going to have to do it to all businesses. They all want it. And I thought Orange County had money that they got to give out to the businesses in different places. Also, did you put in for the money through the federal government? Because they give money out to businesses.
Yes, we put in money. I've asked other tenants, we put in money. It's a 3-year backlog. Yeah. Believe it or not, that money is coming out so slow. And even me, with 3 stores, I've been denied. Yeah. So that money has been allocated from the federal government, but it's not trickling down. Okay. And it's like, and I do understand, okay, if we do something for you, we'll do it for them. But those stores outside, in the morning, the seniors that walk in there, if it wasn't for the seniors walking in there, we wouldn't even know we're open. You know? So everybody benefits from it except for the stores in it trying to hold on by a thread. Yeah. And even if a commissioner had $1,000, I mean, we're at the point where we need immediate help. And I'm asking, even for the stores that's been there 3 years or more, if $10,000 could save these stores and create more stores, it would be the lifeline. I mean, right now, we don't even have a manager at the mall, okay? We have 2 people that run the mall. Now, I fight for air conditioners. They gave me air conditioning. I fought for, like, landscaping. I mean, everything, I'm not just asking you, I asked them. And they are doing it, but they can only do so much because of the people that's in the mall. We fund that. We fund the trash. We fund the toilet paper. Our rents are paying all that. But if we can get any type of help, I'm talking anything, $50. If we got that, I'm serious. We're down to, I want each of you. I have 3 stores in there. Okay, if each of you could just come down there within the next month and just walk in the mall and have lunch. All right. That would help us. Just have lunch.
Let's let the commissioners make some comments, then we got to move on.
Okay.
Anybody? Commissioners?
I'll say something have you been in contact with our Economic Development Director, Angel De La Porte?
No, I don't know. If you can help me with any direction, I would take that.
Right. He was here tonight. That's someone I would suggest. You know, we've had meetings over the period of time with Moonbeam, who owns that building.
Right.
And they have told us all these things. There's Angel right now. They have told us that they were going to, we saw these wonderful plans they were going to do with the mall. They have not done anything. I don't know how much contact anyone's had with is it Shaw Pryor that is the
Shaw,
one?
yeah, he's in Atlanta.
Was our contact person with the mall. I mean, we want to see the mall flourish. Trust me. That's a large part as you enter Ocoee. That's well, a lot of us have done shopping there over the years. And it was a very vibrant mall. And then, I think when the recession took it down and things just haven't built up. But I also would like to see Moonbeam do something.
Right,
They
and
told us they would.
just in the defense of them, they put $1 million roof, and they put new air conditioners. So, and that roof is still leaking. So they are still, I mean, if you come there, it rains, we got things all over. So they have been doing, they're trying to get it to a certain point. Like I said, I'm not speaking for them.
That's possible.
But they are doing what they can with what they have. And I'm asking just
All right.
on the,
And I think the residents need to know that because we think that the mall is just sitting there, but I'm glad to hear that the company's put something in.
Like I said, each commissioner has a discretionary fund they can help if they decide that's where they're doing with it. I mean, so call tomorrow. If you don't have it, get each one of them's name, include myself, and talk to them, because each one of us is separate than the other.
Okay.
We have discretionary fund that we can do help a little.
okay.
And that's something that we didn't used to have, so it's available, something to help you out.
Is there any funds that we can get from the county to help out?
We don't deal with the county stuff. I mean, have you been to the county and asked them?
I've had an SBA person come in my store and go to the county. They're just out of money. They've advocated those funds.
I can tell you right now, the best avenue right now for tomorrow is to call each one of us. And they might not be wanting me to tell them to call each other, but.
No, I mean, I just want to interject just a little bit.
Huh?
If you can stand by and wait till the rest of this meeting's over with, I think I may have something that you may be very interested in that's going to provide a solution for a lot of our issues here, particularly with the small businesses, stormwater drainage, 5G technology. I think I may have something you may be interested in.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
And I've walked the mall, and I've spent money in the mall in the past week, so I know I've seen it. But
Yeah,
definitely some help.
Hello? Yeah, I definitely won't be long-winded, but, Evelyn and I've shopped in your stores many times. And I'm doing some things here in the city now that I'm trying to bring developers in and businesses in. And a couple of the folks I'm talking with are talking about that mall. And they're talking about taking over that mall. So it's really a matter of them going in and having the right conversations with the right people to see what they can do. And so, I mean, I will commit to you that I will have a conversation with some of the developers that I'm talking with. And a couple of them are out of Chicago, one is locally. And we'll go and we'll walk the mall and to see what it is we do. Of course, one of the challenges with malls, as you well know, is that brick and mortar is tough right now. It is a tough place to have your store because people are not really going to brick and mortar like they used to. But I will commit to you to bring some folks in to see, if that's something that they're interested in. And if they are, maybe that's something, now that's in the long term, obviously.
Correct.
In the short term, as the mayor said, give us a call. I'm sure you got my number somewhere, and we'll see what we can do. And not just for you, but to stores in general, because I scratch my head sometimes and wonder how they actually make it. Kind of like the mayor talking about, electric prices.
All right, thank you. Brad Lomney.
Good evening, Commission, Mayor. Brad Lomnick, Veronica Circle, Ocoee, Florida. There's been a lot of talk about the firefighters still on Facebook, things like this. I believe their wages are what they are. I'm going to say, we're never going to compete with, Alachua County or Hillsborough County or City of Orlando or Seminole County. But what I would like to see is if the commission can get a consensus to have staff go and get these guys the EMT paramedic certifications and in trade, have some sort of contracted obligation, 3-year or 5-year obligation to stay here for that certification. I think that will, probably help morale in a big way. I think that's probably one of the first steps. And I know staff is doing a really good job trying to negotiate their wages and whatnot, but we really should look at a program to keep them in, as paying for these certifications, paying for the time to take the certifications, but not do it for free. If they want to stay here for 3 years or 5 years and be contracted to that, if they leave before that time, then they're obligated to pay those fees back. So that would be my ask, is to have a consensus or a motion to have staff put that in effect for the next budget cycle.
I will tell you that the EMT certification is not the problem. It's the paramedic.
Sure. I don't think it's the whole problem, but I think it's probably a start.
It's nowhere the problem.
Right.
But we got that, but the paramedics is where the problem comes in. So we're working on it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chris Atkins. I wants to discuss items 11 and 14.
You can scratch 11, Mayor. You can scratch 11. I'm just going to stick to, you can scratch 11. I'm just going to stick to the 14 on the consent agenda. You guys already approved it, so clearly I know it's already a done deal. But in retrospect to what Brad said, I don't understand why the city hasn't taken care of these negotiations and completed them yet when it comes to the firefighters. I'm abreast of what's going on, and you guys just collectively should tell them to get it done. But I want to move on to 14. If you have questions for me after that, we can.
Just to answer you about.
If you stop, can you rest my time, please, sir?
Stop that just a second. Well, I will tell you, we are doing negotiations, but we can't do anything what they don't do. So we're doing our part.
Yeah.
They're not. They turned down what we offered. We offered them a good deal. So I'm just telling you, I can't tell you what it is, but you got to understand the whole picture. Not just,
I'm actually aware
Let
of
me
what
finish,
it is.
Chris. Let me finish, Chris.
Yeah.
Not what they're putting on Facebook.
I'm not talking about Facebook.
I'm just telling you, we're doing our fair negotiation. Okay,
Well,
go ahead.
They
514.
supplied you a counter proposal, and you should accept it and move forward. That's what I would do.
You can't do that.
Yes, you guys can. You as commissioners and the
Commit.
manager could
Don't
get this
start
done.
that yet. You can't just do that.
Can we just say something? We shouldn't be talking about
No,
any of this.
I didn't say, Commissioner Wilson, will you hold down a minute?
I will.
I know you got reelected, just hold down, will you? You can make statements that'll go about things we don't do. I'm gonna make this statement. We can't just do that. That's not the way it works. All right, moving on to number 14.
Safety's number
14.
Safety's number one on your
14.
job. Yes, sir. So item number 14, I followed this particular intersection, Fuller's Cross and Ocoee Popka from the beginning. I was around during the original discussions and surveys and estimates for this particular intersection. I know that we entered into an agreement with Orange County for $1 million after we got our original estimates for this intersection. And come to find out, we actually underestimated the intersection by more than $1 million. Now, Orange County refuses to pay any more than $500,000, which was what the city of Ocoee negotiated under the contract. We've had now 2 additional change orders and brought us now to $2.238 million for that intersection, when it was originally proposed to only cost $1 million. So if we would have entered this particular contract with the appropriate numbers, then we could have maybe saved our taxpayers about $625,000, because the city's on the hook for it. And it needs to be done, so that's not up for question. But my real question is, this is clearly a problem when we underestimate something. It just happened with the fire station right here that you guys just had to approve because we didn't have the funds, and that trailer cost more than we originally thought. You know, it seems to be a reoccurring trend. So is there any policy?
Things like that happen, Chris.
What's that?
Things like that happen.
Yes,
But you're
I
totally
understand
wrong. You're totally wrong on the intersection. The intersection's $1 million for the city, and it's $1 million for the county. I don't know where you get your numbers from, but please check them before you come up here and just talk about things that you really haven't researched correctly.
Well,
It's $1 million each. It's not $1,500,000. We have the agreements. The agreements are available. We probably even have them online, okay?
Right.
It's $1 million each, and anything above that, these were site conditions that they found when they dug. They found unlisted water mains. They found, as we typically do for things that were put in 50 years ago.
Right.
Okay?
I understand the
But we
geological
negotiated
survey was
50-50 with the
different.
county.
I was in the meetings and I was part of that, so I understand it.
Okay.
But my real question is, when I see reoccurring, I know it happens sometimes, but it tends to happen a lot. What policies or procedures are we putting in place to make sure that whatever our original estimates are, or whatever projects we have, they come in or at or below and not repetitively
Well, I enjoy
overcost?
your view of this magical
Everything's
world,
overcost.
but
City
sometimes
Hall's
things come in
overcost.
$10,
Intersections are
$10,000
overcost.
more.
Generators are overcost, everything's overcost.
I'm very sorry you're upset about that.
Well, it's my money.
Very sorry.
It's my money, it's our money, it's a taxpayer.
It's your money whether it's $10,000 less or $10,000 more, correct?
But-
Well, yeah, very rarely hear it come in less.
But I'm gonna tell you now, he just said a while ago, that if you wanna give him triple, quadruple, he approves it. What you said,
Quadruple what?
the one on the fire contract. You
There's
just
only a
said,
$250,000
you
difference
just
between
said
your
sign
proposal
off
and
and
theirs.
give it to him.
Okay, well, I know what the difference is on the proposal, it's 250 grand.
There wasn't no proposal for
Wrong
250
again.
grand.
Wrong
I'm
again.
I'm not saying in
I know,
total.
he's reading out of that fairy book. All right, that's it. All right, now we get to go to the, Commissioner Brinson, you got.
Always
put the
positive.
10 minutes on the clock.
I assure you I will not take 10 minutes. But I will say, speaking of, about the Fuller's Cross intersection, that is an intersection that now, there's no turns on that intersection. So I'm encouraging everyone to be patient. Just recently, I saw someone who did not know that intersection was closed. It was just one way, north and south on Ocoee Popka, and as they slammed on their brakes to try to turn onto Fuller's Cross, of course, they backed up traffic, and so remember, Fuller's Cross intersection is one way, north and south on Ocoee Popka. Fuller's Cross Road is not open for traffic. Road closures, obviously, the road closure in front of, at Bluford, right next to City Hall, is also something that you have to be mindful, especially when you're navigating downtown area. So make sure you be aware of that as well. Also, I want to encourage everyone, there's a lot of movement in Washington, D.C., as well as Tallahassee. There's a lot of bills being passed and executive orders being signed off on. I would encourage you to get with your local elected state and congressional members to talk about what is going on there, because it's going to affect you not just at the ballot box, but it's going to affect you as we talked about earlier with your business. It's going to affect you with any kind of monies that they have coming to you, or you think they may have coming to you. But to get the real scoop, I would encourage you to go to your local elected officials and also your national and state officials. I'm sure this is something that a lot of people will continue to talk about. That is the Delta variant of the COVID-19 virus. I don't know how, I mean, if I can stand on this desk and rant and rave and scream and shout, be loud, obnoxious, and boisterous, it still would not be enough to encourage people to abide by certain protocols to try to stem off the spread of this new variant. Hopefully it's not as bad as they say, but apparently it's going in that direction. So if we want to have that track in a different direction, we're going to have to do something differently, and one of which is to start exercising some of the protocols that were in place before. And I think that's all I have.
All right, start over, Commissioner Wilson.
Thank you. I'm trying. I have a concern. First of all, Rob, can we get a price on some banners? I'd like to see banners on Clark Road, like for July, the 4th of July. I don't think we have been waving our flag as much as we should.
We're investigating that.
So if we get
Yeah.
some prices on those banners.
Along the same lines of Diversity Month, and I think we had them for Founders Day and a couple of different functions during the year. Thought that would probably be good for Memorial Day to July 4th also.
I was thinking that would probably, we should. Thank you. I have two items. One's going to probably a little lengthier than the other. I know that tonight we had an issue that did not get resolved at the last meeting. It was having our CACO PD use the park. And that was my mistake not going on that last meeting. But it was, again, but that night we did give Senator Bracy the facility, whereas our own advisory board didn't get that approved. So what I'd like to say is that I think that we should have at least a month, or, which would be 2 consecutive meetings, that if someone wants to use our facility at no charge, that I think something should come in writing to us. I think we should, I really felt bad about where the CACO PD, I keep thinking about that, did not get the facility that night, and that he had to come back tonight to ask for it. And I think as one of our programs, that should not have a problem. And yes, as liaisons to the boards, we should bring that forward. But I think with someone outside of our programs, we should get at least a month's notice. Even within our city programs, we should get at least a month's notice, come before us and ask for that. Then there's no one saying, oh, we gave it to one, but we didn't give it to another. I think for fairness, so I'd like to see that. The other aspect is, I am getting so many calls, many calls in this district regarding our trash pickup. It is a problem. I don't know if anyone else is getting those calls, but it's not the it's not the household garbage, it's not the recycling, it is the yard waste. And I don't know, is anyone else getting the calls that I'm getting? I know I'm a more established district, it has a lot more trees probably than some of your newer areas, but they're not picking up. I know that I had one call, just to use an example. They put out more than the 4 cubic yards, but the 4 cubic yards weren't even picked up. So if you're going to say you're going to pick up 4 cubic yards, pick up half of it. Is there something, and Steve, I don't know if Steve is still here, but is there something in that ordinance that says they're not going to pick up 4 cubic yards if there's 8 cubic yards? Pick up the 4. I don't understand why I have to divide it into 2 sections and say pick up this week and pick up this next week. I'm really just discouraged over them, and I don't know what the answer is. Is it going out with another RFP? Getting a claw truck? Something, there's a problem there, and I think we, as a commission, have to resolve this. That seems to be my major problem in District 2. So I don't know what the answer is. I'm asking for some advice from the commission. What can we do? How many minutes do I have left? 6?
I will answer that. I already asked city manager, assistant city manager about looking at us taking back the trash part. We have to buy a claw truck, but here's the kicker: charge $5 a month, because we were going to have to raise the garbage rates. That's one of the reasons we didn't raise the garbage rates, because we were going to let these people pick it up. So if we want to go out, buy the truck, charge $5 a month for picking up the trash, then you're going to solve the problem. But we'll have to go after a breach of contract, and that's how we have to address that during the budget process.
And I think that's something we need to think about. Is there some way that we can bring in a claw truck? I mean, the claw truck seems to be the problem for them.
We got to get the contract back. Okay. There is a lot of it getting left, but I go around and look, and there's some, they pick up some, I don't know. But the problem is, it's the drivers, and they don't keep up with the drivers. But here's, like I said, and I don't want to take your time away, but
no, please, go ahead.
you got to go after a breach of contract. We go after them, we charge a flat $5 or $8 a month fee for picking up everything they leave out. It'd be a good deal for people. So we need to look at that, so.
Would they bring in a claw truck for $5 or $8 a month?
I'm not talking about them, I'm talking about us.
Okay, I think that's something during budget term time, because it is a weekly, if not daily, issue for me.
Yeah, well, I agree.
Thank you,
You done?
Yes.
Commissioner First.
Along those same lines, I'd like to request the finance director and the public works director to put together some type of proposal for us to consider during the workshops on taking back the yard waste, how much that's going to cost and what it's going to
Yeah, I think, and what the mayor was saying, the $5, or something, we may have tossed that number around to have an operator and a claw truck just for the mist and the not to do everyone though, because that would be, at the most, that would be like one person, and the benefits and the fuel and the upkeep on one truck. We had that before when somebody was missed though. We had the option of sending that out, which when we got rid of the whole operation, so it'd be 2 different things. I guess that's my point. The whole operation, or looking at individual yard waste versus trash versus.
Commissioner Wilson's right. That is the biggest problem in
Yeah,
the city.
yeah, and that's usually the ones that you all turn over to me are always yard waste problems too, so I see them.
Okay. Also, something to consider on the budget workshop, could you ask, I guess it would be the Public Works Director, to work up some figures on additional lighting on Pine Street?
Okay.
Pretty dark out there.
Okay.
They requested it, and I told them that we'd look at it this budget year.
Okay.
Okay. And the last thing I have is congratulations to Ginger Corliss and the CRA staff for achieving that $3 million grant from the West Orange Healthcare District for the Wellness Park. That is really going to help out significantly on our other CRA projects.
Yes.
That's it.
It's going to be a great project
All right.
also.
Commissioner Oliver.
Here.
All right.
I have to echo what Commissioner First said about the $3 million that Ginger Corliss and her team was able to secure for our wellness park. So that was just kudos to those guys. I'm not going to take 10 minutes, but trust me, I'm not going to take 10 minutes. I'm so cold, I can't feel my fingers right now. But I do want to thank, I'm not sure who provided the list of the openings for the boards. Thank you so much for this list. So I will go down this really quickly. The fire department advisory board has 5 openings. The police department advisory board has 3 openings. Code enforcement has 1 alternative seat opening. HRDB has 2 openings. Parks and Recreation Board has 2 openings, and the OYC has 4 openings. Again, if you want to get involved in what's going on in the city and be a part of our change, to be a part of moving the city forward, this is an excellent way to do so. Join one of the boards, attend at least 1 or 2 meetings, and then consider joining one of the boards. Also, I do have just one concern, something that I've been thinking about and praying about. And again, I want to make this comment concerning giving commissioners 10 minutes. I think that when you start to limit time of your elected officials to provide you with updates and different things that's going on in your districts, I think that's a slippery slope. Even though I know we've actually taken precautions to announce the additional time that we get after our meeting. We've done that, and we've dotted the I's and crossed the T's. I still think that it's a slippery slope, and I'm going to do my best to get my time in within the 10 minutes and get everything done. And anything that I don't, I'm going to have to carry it over to the next meeting because I just don't want to engage in any breaking of any sunshine laws as it pertains to doing that additional 10 minutes for a town hall meeting. Just, again, think it's a slippery slope. My next item is concerning trash as well. Trash collection, I get at least 1 or 2 calls every other day concerning trash pickup, the waste. Now it's starting to spill over to the point where they are missing neighborhoods. Just a regular trash. They're just missing the neighborhoods and have to go back the next day, and sometimes even late in the evening. I've had the opportunity to even speak to one of the drivers. It was dark and had to go back and pick up trash in another neighborhood after he's gotten off in I guess their yard somewhere in Altamont Springs. So I think this is an emerging problem that we're having in the city, and I'm glad to hear that I'm not the only one dealing with this problem every other day. What I would like to do is I would like to propose a motion that we actually respectfully request that the staff come back with some solutions, a report and some solutions as to what it would look like if we went back to trash being picked up, being owned and operated by the city. What would that look like? How much would it cost as we go into our budget cycle? So again, I'm going to ask that, I'm going to propose this motion. So I'm going to ask you to stop the clock because I'm going to need their input on this one. So I'm actually going to put a motion on the floor that we do something, that we actually, or it can be consent, that we ask the staff to look into going back to the city-owned and operated trash pickup. So I'm going to put it out there. It could be a consent, but I would like to see a report, and I want to see some numbers.
Well, I just asked the legal advisor. He said all we need to do is do a consent.
Okay.
We don't need to do a motion.
Okay. So
I brought that up. We're going to be working on it. I hope we're all working in the same process. It's going to cost money.
Yeah, do we have a consent to
I
ask
thought we
staff to
already,
bring
I
a
thought we
report
already
back?
had that.
Y'all have,
Yeah,
y'all in favor?
I thought we already had that from the previous
we got
discussion.
it.
Okay, we're good,
I'm
okay,
sorry.
perfect.
No, I'm,
All right, scratch that. Also, I did speak with Director of Parks and Rec. I spoke with Mark Johnson about, he's going to be bringing a report to us concerning bringing back things like movie on the lawn, food truck Fridays. It's something that he's used to, he's already done in the past. The only concerns he had was doing it in the summer months was the rain. The events get rained out, and people stop coming when it rains out every Friday, every Saturday, which makes a lot of sense. So he's going to look at some different dates, may shift it more toward the fall. So hopefully within the next few months, he'll come to us with an idea and a recommendation as to how we bring those things back to get folks back engaged in what's going on in the city and get them off the couch, get them out the house, and get to meet your neighbor. So I think that's a great update there. And finally, one of the last things I want to talk about is being in the compliance space. I get a lot of emails, I used to be in compliance, and I used to get a lot of emails concerning federal funded projects and things of that nature. And I've received a couple of phone calls over the past week concerning the American Recovery Act, the ARPA Act. So what we have the federal government under that act, they have allocated something like $19.5 billion that's going to go to different states. It's going to go out to the states, and we have an opportunity to get some of that money. There's an allocation of what's called non-entitlement units, which will be cities, that can receive up to, it can receive up to about $1.4 billion for over 330 cities throughout the state of Florida. So what that means is, that the federal government has contacted the Florida Division of Emergency Management, and they will actually be allocating those funds out. Here's the thing, it is not a loan, it's actually a grant, money that has to be paid back. According to the size of our city, we can receive up to $24 million. It goes into 5 different buckets. One of those buckets being stormwater and drainage. We have issues with stormwater and drainage projects that we keep, I mentioned, Mr. Atkins mentioned that we keep coming up with these change orders to fix things. We're coming in under budget. But this may be a solution that will allow us to have monies to actually expand our stormwater drainage projects to different houses in the city, connected into the sewage and getting off getting off the septic tanks. It also has another component for 5G technology. We've been screaming about 5G technology. If we're going to be a city in the future that's actually going to be able to support tech companies coming into West Orange County, coming into Ocoee, there is millions of dollars that we can tap into right there to bring money in as well. You mentioned small businesses for West Oaks Mall. There's also a component, there's a bucket for small businesses. This money doesn't go to the county, it doesn't go to the state, it comes directly to our city. $24 million that we can use some of that money to actually help give some relief to our small businesses in the West Oaks Mall, not just one business, but all the businesses in West Oaks Mall to have the money to do that. I've also been in contact with the Florida Division of Emergency Management concerning this act, concerning this money that comes to us. And what I want to do is, as we move forward, probably as early as tomorrow, I'm going to actually schedule a meeting with a city manager and members of the Florida Division of Emergency Management to talk about how we get this money, how we bring in someone to help us to pull this money, manage this money, and to allocate it as we need this money. So I'm going to see if we can
Just
get
a quick comment. Being a non-entitlement city as we are, under 50,000 population, same thing with CDBG grants, this money would typically flow to the state, and the state would send it to the county. That's how we got our reimbursements, the several $100,000 we got from the county that was federally and state funded for our costs for COVID. So we've not seen that yet. We've heard of that. Most likely it will be the county telling us they've finally received the funds, and this is how they're going to be distributing them along those grant lines. And I can tell you we could fill out a grant application for every one of those categories for the maximum amount that we think we could get. Yeah.
Well, definitely sounds
That's
like
not an
relief.
issue as far as transportation and stormwater and those types of things. Not a hard task to put those in.
I'll start setting up any meetings because it's.
Yeah, so the
I was
interesting
given-
thing is, along those same lines, now that, you know, the deadline for the census was pushed back, we'll be emerging as to an entitlement city, because we're probably gonna be over 50,000. So we will transition to dealing directly with the federal government on things like CDBG grants and these types of things in the future. We wouldn't have to wait for the state to get the money and the state to transition and send some of that money to the county. So I would anticipate after these numbers come out from the census, we will be able to deal directly. We won't go through Orange County anymore, especially for CDBG grants and SHIP grants and those types of things. We'll be dealing directly with the federal government. And that should happen, I would think, within the next year.
I think it cuts a lot of red tape out. It comes
Yes.
directly to the city. Again, the grants, not loans.
Quicker,
And
too.
I believe that this is something that could really benefit the city as a whole, especially our small businesses. And then finally, I will leave you with this. The first responsibility of a leader is to define reality. The last is to say thank you. In between, the leader is a servant. That was by Max Dupree. Thank you.
All right.
It'll take about 10 minutes. Rob took up some of that. So I just-
Under the, couple of things, the trash thing, I think we can work that out. We're gonna have to figure out a way to come up, like I said, we were supposed to raise the rates, and that's one of the reasons it was voted down to move it into the other, because of not raising the rates, so that's gonna have to be addressed. I think a lot of the money, Rob's right, has to do with the county debiting it out, and under some of the requirements they have for the volume of the citizens of the city. So there's always money coming out of Washington, but how to get it is the other problem, is getting it out of them. We'd all like to have it. The county, I don't know why people come up and say things that they don't look into and research, but the county, and there's a letter, and there's an affidavit, a contract signed, they're paying half of what that road is to fix. Half. Not 500,000, but $1,100,000 and some thousand dollars. Let me talk. It's not open. I'm just telling you, you said $500,000. I'm just quoting you. Let me tell you what it is. It's $238,000. Half of it's going to be paid by the county. It's signed contract. One of the reasons the delayed, they had to do the 114, they found a pipe out there that wasn't where it was supposed to be, and they got hit. So that had to be fixed. That's part of when you do the underground work. So that part was there. And one other thing, and Commissioner Wilson, you like it or not like it, as long as we're not talking about the money and not talking about the other, I can tell you that is my oath and your oath, all of us sitting up here, to sit in those negotiations and do what's right for the citizens in that fire union negotiations. And that's exactly what we're doing. So we don't just sign off and hand it back to them and say, just write out what you want to put on it and send it to us. That ain't how it works.
I've been at every negotiation for 6 months, so I understand.
Well, then you know what we offer them then. Well, you can sit in them, but you might not be listening to what they're telling you. Okay. All right. So, once again, the meeting's adjourned. If you want to stay, it's all about announcements, nothing that you can vote on or nothing we can do if you talk afterwards. So everybody can get to go home, employees.